worldwide and plea. Tried to cross America, never going to hit up on the coast to see. Posted free, toasted, he has put on the game. No shame, no timid styles to be added on the name. Burida nota pogu, si tu usma osisa, esti ilina lohu, me guida conda. Burida nota pogu, si tu usma osisa, esti ilina lohu, me guida. Here to give you music that will never change. Here to show you love that can never be rearranged. Not here to preach a violence, positive I will stay. Here to keep the light if you reach your darkened days. Here to keep it moving, no stopping, I will say. Here to be right here, even if here will often stray. Here just to be right here after there goes away. Or if one approaches what, how else would here play? Santa and Burida nota fogu, si tu usma osisa, esti ilina lohu, me guida conda. Burida nota fogu, si tu usma osisa, esti ilina lohu, me guida conda. Burida nota fogu, si tu usma osisa, esti ilina lohu, me guida conda. Burida nota fogu, si tu usma osisa, esti ilina lohu, me guida.
Chris and Sabrina with The Link. Here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
From USA is where I come from, and that's where I ought to be. Enjoying the girls along on the beach and under the coconut tree. Warm is good, warm is hot, warm is just such a little spot. It's a beautiful island that you've never seen, where America's day begins. Anama udai zugi bakunairi, para guatu Amerika, para belia kau magok ini nana.
Jesuita saluda antes de nega radzał za malakie estrellas durante todo el a nogi distancia como kupugi palu zangiman malak guafi ikonum nasugi airi preba tu la noche nai banderata caigui pues atan fanny bandera kau esta pagua pumalapa giluk tanu man libri sentami ti man ko badi
Fanogi tamoru puritanota kantai matu nanyagi todu ilugat parai honra parai gloria abibais la sin parat parai honra parai gloria abibais la sin parat todo y tiempo y paz para kita dan gini langit na bendition Conchay peligro na fan sofuham Zeus protegis languahon Conchay peligro na fan sofuham Zeus protegis languahon
Friday business yelling. Ah! Hi, Bree.
Hi.
How's it over there?
It's all right.
Right on, Jay.
Hello and goodbye to the storm.
That's right.
She is on her way west-northwest out of here.
It was cold last night, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually shivering.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Totally. And the aircon jamming 71. Woo boy, with the outside weather, it feels like, they have that feels like 65. Woke up in the middle of the night. My boy took all the blanket from me. And I was like, like for real. I'm serious. Yeah. Was that a real storm or what?
I went to sleep. I don't know. Well, during the closest point of approach, I drove home, and it was raining.
And that was like around 6, and that kind of took everybody by surprise because they were like, okay, 6 to 9 p.m. or I'm sorry, 9 p.m. to midnight, expected closest point of approach, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, it's right now.
Yeah. So my son was I guess he went to go pick up food for his sister or whatever, and he was texting me, and I was like, well, why don't you come over later and check me out? And he was like, I don't know, should I stay home because of the storm? And I was like, where are you at now? He goes, I'm on the road. I'm like, yeah, it's hitting us right now. Mm-hmm. This is it.
Sean, Sean's in our Zoom room.
Yeah, hi, Sean.
You were watching the track, right?
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, first off, good morning, everybody. Yes, I was watching it like a hawk.
Yeah.
Maybe I blame a lot of my time at KUAM for my love of watching storms, perhaps.
Yeah.
It came and went very quickly.
Yeah.
It did.
We are very, very fortunate for that, though. I mean,
yeah, totally, of course.
Because if you guys see the track, and Landon's coming on later on at 8 o'clock to kind of give us the post wrap up and everything like that. But she has got a little bit of attitude about her, the storm now, and she's picking up steam.
Does she? A little bit of attitude?
As it heads towards Iwo Jima and up
her
there.
Her name is Mindul, okay?
No, she got a name, yeah, Jay.
Yeah, sorry.
Not just an object.
It's better to have the attitude away from us than right in front of us.
Yeah,
so that's good.
I know.
So she has got longitude, latitude, and
attitude. You're on it, Jay. Good morning.
Well, we got a shout out right now from the Lone Star State, Francis Wolford, all the way from Dallas.
Dallas.
I've been bad. I've been good. Dallas, Texas.
Hollywood.
I ain't asking for much. Shout out to ZZ Top.
And Francis
Sean's kind of
Wolford.
got the ZZ Top a little bit of the goatee, maybe in about
No, not really. Very little.
Well, we'll check you in 6 months and see how that's going.
Sean, what did you make though of just the not necessarily the reportage, because I know we do a great job at it, but kind of like the information coming out of the Weather Service compared to now maybe to back in the day?
Actually, they're consistent. One of the great things about the National Weather Service is they know how to do the business of forecasting, and they're very, very effective at communicating that. They have all the technology, and they just tell it as it is. They don't pull any punches, and it's probably a better thing for our community to listen and heed their warnings. If not, you and I, Chris, Sabrina, Jason, Joseph, we've all seen what happens when you don't pay attention to the National Weather Service.
Yeah, 2002, Super Typhoon Pongsonghua. It was the KUM Christmas party, and we were all kind of celebrating, let's say, having a good time. And I remember that because I left at 2 a.m. You guys were still, celebrating. And I came back, and back in those days, we would have to get the NWS updates off a fax machine, and then, write it up and put it on the web. But and then all of us basically came back the next day, and that was nasty.
Yeah. What was the one, man? I want to say it was probably 97,
Omar?
98. We were here. Yeah, it was Paca. It was me, Bernadette, you guys, and it was.
No, I wasn't here. I was cable at Paca.
Oh, okay, but it was flooded. This studio was flooded.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris.
Yeah,
think,
so we couldn't leave.
I think on top of the building, it didn't. I think the what do you call that? The satellite thing came down. The big antenna came down.
And so it was one of those where it was really approaching in the afternoon, but it was just too crazy. And I was staying down south. It was too crazy to leave the station. So I ended up having to like overnight during the craziest part of the storm. That was something. Yeah.
I've done those a couple times. Yeah, they're.
But there's like a whole generation of kids, like when you talk about this stuff, they have no clue what we're talking about, right? Because, I mean, knock on wood, you guys are so lucky. But my kids, they look at me like I'm speaking another language when I try and tell them, like, you guys know when the power go off for 6 months? They're like, 6 months? You can't even handle 6 minutes.
And then conversely, there's so many Guamanians who used to live here that now live in the States. And when they see, like, on Facebook or on Twitter, they're like, oh, Core 2 has been declared, and everybody's like, Core 2? That's like Pamela.
Out. Yeah, my family's
That's
always like,
Karen.
are you guys okay over there? And I'm like, dude, it just rained.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's like, Condition 2? That's really, really bad.
Let me ask you this, Sean, though.
Yeah, with my kids, I take them outside and I make them stand there outside and watch it for about 20 minutes at a time so they can understand the fury of Mother Nature. And they go, oh, wow, this is a storm.
Yeah. Sean, so when you talk about, like, because it's not necessarily, like, what the National Weather Service is saying, especially if we look at like a day like yesterday, right? It's the frequency of them coming out and being consistent, like you said, providing the information. But when you see the National Weather Service, obviously people make that connection, storm. And so when they're out here all day talking about a storm and then it's kind of anticlimactic, do you think that it turns into almost like The Boy Who Cried Wolf in the event we get something serious where people are going to be like, oh, come on?
No, I don't think so. I think that they, like as I think it was Landon said yesterday, they had everybody on deck. They all knew that it wasn't going to be a big event, but they all came in. So it tells you that how much they all care to make sure that they're protecting the community. Right. So no, I think that when he comes out, they made that real quick change from the watch to warning. That is their function. It's what the government does to respond. That is the key.
Yeah, that's something we were talking about yesterday was were they going to open the shelters at the schools? And then if they did,
oh boy,
what would it be? Like, would they only allow vaccinated people into certain shelters and then have another shelter for the unvaccinated?
Yeah. Do you guys know, is that even on paper as part of the emergency response plan?
No, I doubt it.
It's too recent, right? It's
I was thinking that's why they didn't.
It's too much of a new phenomenon to.
I was thinking that's probably why they didn't open the shelters was because they didn't want. How are we going to do this? So never mind. But how would they do it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I was wondering.
And also, what do you do with all the expectant mothers who, by definition, Core 2, you've got to send them all to the hospital through 40 weeks or more, and that's.
So is there a plan?
You guys bring up great points, but doesn't that also remind us why we're here as a community? We're seeing all these things happen, and then to compound it, to have some kind of event like a storm.
Yeah.
I think maybe this is that time that we should probably start paying attention to what's happening with COVID and life and make these significant changes because, my goodness, if something did happen, it would have been a wreck.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
But you know what, guys? One of the things also, one of the conditions of if we go into condition of readiness 2 is, of course, you got to shut down the port, you got to shut down the airport. And Sean, actually, your podcast this week, you were actually talking about matters of like the airport and, like what's going on with temporary suspending travel, right?
Right. And yeah, it's all about the Biden reopening. And I'm a big proponent of trying to get open as fast as we can safely, obviously. And yeah, the podcast is all about that.
Well, let's just go ahead and get that done right now. We're going to play this little sniblet here. Sean Gumatatas, That's It. That's All Podcasts is part of the great KUAM podcast network where really just have the best podcasts in the Pacific all in one convenient place. And so again, here's a little sniblet from Sean Gumatatas' latest episode of That's It, That's All.
Leave fear somewhere else. Project confidence and project all the good that has been built in areas across Guam and the United States. Yes, there have been places shuttered up because of the pandemic. Yes, in recent months, especially in Guam, community spread is in those areas which we are certain our visitors will frequent, those bars and restaurants. The latter has been very good with COVID protocols over the past year and a half. Heck, they are as good as the healthcare facilities, the supermarkets, and the gas stations in terms of stopping the spread. Bars are really getting a bad rap here as of late. Same, though, in parts of London. Bars are sources of spread in St. Paul, Minnesota. Bars popular for Guam tourists. In Makati City in the Philippines, causing spikes in one of the Pacific hotspots for COVID. We all have to remember that tourists are not going places just to grab a round of beer or sing karaoke. visitor destinations have more than that. For Guam, it still has the warm weather year-round, pristine beaches, and the culture of the Chamorro people. For Guam and America, there is that important COVID-19 factoid that its adult population is 76.5% vaccinated, at least one dose. For Guam, 79% of adults are fully vaccinated and 90% got their first jab. That is a fact. New Mexico and most of the New England states are as close. So visit us and these other states, well, at least in November.
That's all the Sean Gumatato podcast. Sean, thank you. Oh.
And just appreciate what you all do. And I know that as everyone were waking up this morning thinking about storm and COVID, if you want all the information, you have it right here with KUAM. So just keep listening.
Yeah.
Have a great day, guys, and I'll be listening too.
All right, take care, Sean.
Real quick, this is an interesting anecdote. Sean, I appreciate that. He goes, guys, this is Sar Cachero. And how does Sar not have top fan status already? He posted all this awesome stuff. This is probably his best comment yet. He goes, guys, I had my birthday on Super Typhoon Pangsonghua. Wow. Kids will never know what it means to have corned beef and rice as a birthday cake.
That sounds good. Thanks, Sean.
That's a party any day of the year.
Right. Exactly.
All right, guys. Yeah, don't forget, listen on Pandora, Spotify, all those places.
Right.
All right.
See you later.
There you go. That's it.
Take care,
That's all. The Sean Gumatao. It is 6:41 Friday, September 24th episode of The Link, brought to you by Pacific Points, Calvo Enterprises, ITD, and Jack in the Box. Big show as always for you guys. Coming up, Dr. Ho Wen, the former PAG chair. Guys have really been reaching out to Dr. Berg to come back on the show. As you remember, he came on last week and said he'd jump on Monday, but haven't been able to get a confirmation from him. So, we're always glad to get Dr. Ho on. Daphne Shimizu, Reverend Tax Director. We're going to wrap this storm with Landon Ilett of the National Weather Service, 8 o'clock. Attorney General Levin Camacho. Around 9, we're getting Dr. Annette David, who is one of the doctors who meets regularly with the governor. And she's putting on a webinar on Monday, countering the COVID-19 pandemic. Everyone has a role, so we'll do that. And then we'll close out the show with the new edition of the KUAM podcast network with Tossiata, Talks with Toss, Feed Me Fridays, One Micronesia Podcast, and Sports Link. It is all coming up. We always go big on Friday, guys, so let's get right to it with the very latest from the KUAM news team. Ladies and gentlemen, Sabrina Salas-Matanani, good morning.
Off today, everybody. A tropical storm warning still remains in effect for the Marianas and the formerly 20W. The island also remains in Core 3. According to the National Weather Service, Tropical Storm Mindul, formerly 20W, brought low-end tropical storm conditions across the Marianas. Peak winds on Guam were clocked at Anderson Air Force Base with gusts up to 45 miles per hour, while in Saipan, they were about 36 miles per hour. Tropical storm force winds should be ending right about now. The threat of storm surge has passed, but a flash flood watch remains in effect. The Joint Information Center reports 2 COVID-19 related fatalities that occurred at the Guam Memorial Hospital yesterday. The 183rd was a 76-year-old man. He was vaccinated with multiple underlying health conditions. He tested positive on the 13th. The 184th was a 56-year-old man, unvaccinated with multiple underlying health conditions. He had tested positive on the 8th. The JIC also reports 74 people are hospitalized, 15 receiving ICU level of care, 10 on ventilators. Out of the 74 hospitalizations, 46 are unvaccinated. The vaccination status of 5 unknown, and 23 are vaccinated. Public Health reports 101 new cases of COVID out of 1,067 tests performed on the 22nd. 20 cases were identified through contact tracing. To date, there have been a total of 14,098 officially reported cases of COVID since March of last year. There have been 184 deaths, 2,936 cases are in isolation, and 10,978 people have recovered. The CAR score continues to decline and decrease. It is now 27.9. The Guam Department of Education confirming 6 employees tested positive. The cases were identified at Atacao Elementary, Astumbo Elementary, Price Elementary and 2 separate cases at Daniel L. Perez Elementary. Additionally, 1 case was identified at the Tizen Central Office. To date, a total of 117,333, that is 86% of Guam's eligible population, is fully vaccinated. This includes 10,084 fully vaccinated residents between the ages of 12 to 17 and 107,249 fully vaccinated adults. The FDA granted an emergency use authorization for the booster shot, and the CDC is meeting today in the final step to approving a 3rd dose of the Pfizer vaccine. Natalie Brand reports.
The FDA has authorized a booster shot of the Pfizer COVID vaccine for certain individuals. It applies to Americans 65 and older, as well as people 18 to 64 who are at high risk for severe COVID-19. It's also authorized for people whose work puts them at higher risk, such as nursing home employees. For now, the FDA rejected Pfizer's request for booster shots for everyone 16 and older.
There's a concern about younger people, particularly men, because of a very rare adverse event called myocarditis.
A CDC advisory panel still has to take its vote on booster shots. The committee is meeting again today.
Like you, I'm approaching this decision with an interest in doing what's right for the public health.
The Biden administration says it's ready to roll out the booster shots as soon as they're approved, possibly later this week.
As President of the United States, my first responsibility is to protect the American people.
The CDC is forecasting COVID hospitalizations are likely to decrease over the next few weeks. But Dr. Anthony Fauci warned Major Garrett on the CBS News podcast The Takeout there's still work to be done to get millions of Americans their first shots.
If we don't get the people vaccinated who need to be vaccinated, and we get that conflating with an influenza season, we could have a dark, bad winter.
About 75% of all eligible Americans, those 12 and older, have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. More than 64% are fully vaccinated. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
Today is a deadline set by the governor for all executive branch employees to get vaccinated or submit to weekly COVID-19 testing. According to Adelup Communications Director Crystal Paco San Agustin, as of yesterday, 89% of GovGuam line agency employees are fully vaccinated and 92% have at least their first dose. As far as medical and religious exemptions, Public Health hasn't even begun approving requests because forms are still under review. Public Health spokesperson Janela Carrera told us that the AG's office completed their review of the document and now it's back with Public Health for their review. Additionally, if you've ever had COVID-19, it doesn't mean that you are automatically exempt from getting a shot. You still have to submit a doctor's clearance with your request for medical exemption. There's no word when these forms will be available. Senator Frank Blas Jr. has asked the governor to delay her vaccine mandates for GovGuam and certain private businesses covered under her executive orders. He believes it should be delayed until the governor provides clarity as to who will accept liability if anything arises because they're being forced to be vaccinated. The senator wrote in a letter to the governor, quote, "I agree that we need to do everything that we can as a community to stop the devastating effects of this virus. However, this has to be accomplished without the force, threats, and divisiveness that has become the course of action for this administration." Line agency employees must be vaccinated again by today, while certain businesses covered on the governor's executive order must be vaccinated by the 27th, or they can also choose to submit to weekly COVID-19 testing. With more news now, here is Isaiah
News
Uggan.
Update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Havre, good morning, everyone. Guahusi Isaiah Uggan with your headlines here on The Link. The Monoclonal Antibody Treatment Center has finally opened its doors. With more is Daniel Perez.
The Infusion Center for the RegenCove treatment opened today at the Manilao Senior Center. Dr. Louis Cruz of the Guam Guard told KUAM what patients can expect.
Anybody that's coming through this door is COVID positive, and they have been referred either from the Tizen testing site or from their primary care providers at one of the clinics. or from the hospitals. We're starting small, maybe about 10 to 15 per hour, but we do have the capacity to scale up to about 20 patients per block, so there will be a block of 2 hours.
This treatment is dependent upon the supply of REGEN-COV. Dr. Cruz explains how the treatment works.
The monoclonal antibody treatments are laboratory-made proteins, laboratory-made antibodies that help your body fight off the COVID-19 virus. The antibodies find the virus, neutralize the virus, and thereby killing it off. By decreasing your viral load in your body, patients get better quicker, and it prevents them from being hospitalized. This treatment is effective as up to 70%.
Dr. Cruz assured island residents more REGEN-COV is on the way, but he acknowledged the difficulties involved with shipments of it.
We're expecting more this week, up to 400 doses. So hopefully those shipments come in and they're viable and they're not outside the temperature range. So we're trying to make sure that the shipments are coming in and that we're tracking them.
Dr. Cruz said there is discussion about other infusion sites being opened.
We do have those sites identified, and the FEMA team, the FEMA monoclonal antibody team will be here hopefully this weekend, and we can work with them to identify more sites if necessary.
The treatment will be administered by injection. Over 200 patients have been treated and none have had any adverse reactions. The infusion center will be open Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Daniel Perez reporting for Guam's News Network.
Dr. Bob Leon Guerrero has been tapped to serve as Public Health Interim Chief Medical Officer. He fills the position left by Dr. Felix Cabrera, who as of September 17th is on an unpaid extended leave of absence due to personal health reasons. Dr. Leon Guerrero is a longtime local pediatrician and has been with the agency as a physician and immunization advisor. He has been practicing medicine in Guam for almost 40 years. Dr. Bob says treating patients and educating them about preventative measures has been more than just a passion, but a calling. He hopes to continue the legacy of his father, Robert Leon Guerrero, who served as the director of DPHSS in the early 60s. Dr. Bob was also one of the first island residents to be vaccinated when they became available locally last December. A nonpartisan advocacy group is calling on the Office of the Congressional Ethics to investigate 7 House members, including Delegate Michael St. Nicholas. The Campaign Legal Center alleges that the members broke the law by not filing required periodic transaction reports when trading stocks. Nestor Lecanto reports.
In a letter to Office of Congressional Ethics Chairman Mike Barnes, the group charged that Congressman St. Nicholas made securities transactions in 2019 and 2020 worth between $15,000 and $52,370 without filing periodic reports within 45 days as required by the Stock Act. They said an investigation is necessary to determine if his failure to file was knowing and willful. The letter goes on to state that if members are not held accountable for late filing, many may simply wait until their annual financial disclosures to reveal stock trades and pay nominal late fees, thereby circumventing the law. It's a law meant to ensure transparency and to prevent congressional members from illegally profiting off of advance information. The allegations were first reported by National Public Radio, which identified the 7 House members, 5 of whom, including St. Nicholas, are members of the powerful House Financial Services Committee. The Campaign Legal Center alleges that St. Nicholas engaged in the stock sales after he was elected vice chairman of the committee. It further alleges that he may have knowingly violated the law because at the time there were widely publicized reports of high-profile insider trading allegations against several U.S. senators. We reached out to Congressman St. Nicholas, who said he did disclose the exact trades that are referenced and that he is also consulting with legal counsel on the matter. The CLC concludes its letter stating that it believes Delegate St. Nicholas was aware of the requirements and his failure to timely file the transaction reports violates the Stock Act. It asks the Ethics Office to open a preliminary review to determine if it was both an intentional violation of the law and of House rules. The statute provides for a fine of up to $250,000 and 5 years imprisonment for knowingly and willfully making any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
In another big step toward construction of a new hospital complex, the governor has sent her official request to the Interior Department for funding to engage the services of the Army Corps of Engineers. During a recent visit, U.S. ACE District Commander Colonial Eric Marshall recommended starting with a charrette. That's the initial planning stage that he said was a key step in any major construction projects they do. Governor Leon Guerrero's request is for $3 million to bring together experts that will come up with the recommendations for building a major medical campus in Manilao. Separately, lawmakers are scheduled to discuss a bill to fund the design and construction during legislative session, which starts tomorrow. Premiere Week continues on NBC TV8 tonight with a much anticipated return, Law & Order Special Victims Unit and Law & Order Organized Crime. Here's a look at what to expect.
To start the season with SVU and OC together, it just seems natural to me. It's like gin and tonic.
Law & Order SVU is back with its 23rd season, and after a successful first season, Organized Crime is back.
I think it's what the fans wanted. We've been waiting for so long for Stabler and Benson to reunite.
Liv, where are you? Liv, stay with me.
Elliot.
On SVU, it's interesting, a show that's been going 23 seasons, and what does keep people coming back, and I think it is the quality of the storylines.
There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a lot of times we do catch the bad guy, which I think is pretty satisfying. Congressman Howard, you're a sexual predator, so guess what happens next? It's got a really cool feel because we do have is it a sister or brother show in Organized Crime? So the world feels expanded a little bit.
What you're going to see on OC is my character, Detective Stabler, will be going undercover inside of an Albanian gang. Well, they got short tempers, military-grade weapons, so they're going to war. Vinnie Jones plays a captain in the mob.
If you are with us, you are with us.
It's a great challenge for me as an actor.
You should have been prepared for that hit. They asked me to do Organized Crime, and how could I resist? It's just such a special universe, the Law & Order universe.
Whether it be SVU or Organized Crime, our writers do an amazing job of keeping the drama going.
See you on the other side.
I still don't like this.
We have these rich characters who we love and root for and want the best for.
Here we are, Benson and Stabler back together.
Don't miss the 2-hour season premiere of Law & Order SVU at 7 p.m. and Law & Order Organized Crime immediately after at 9 p.m. tonight on NBC TV8. And for all things fall premiere, including the schedule, make sure you go to KUAM.com. That's it for now. We'll see you tonight for KUAM's Primetime.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Thanks, Isaiah. During a Thursday meeting of the Commission on Post-Mortem Examinations, Attorney General Levin Camacho announced that several applications were submitted and rated eligible for the Chief Medical Examiner's position. AG Camacho and Guam Medical Society Dr. John Ray Taitano were appointed to the search committee. They are tasked with interviewing and submitting recommendations to the Commission at its next meeting, tentatively set for October 15th. Despite recruitment efforts, the position has remained vacant since the retirement of former CME Dr. Aurelio Espinola in 2018. Services have continued, though, through separate contracts with GMH for a pathologist in Saipan and a pair of forensic pathologists out of Hawaii. Peter Quifunas and Doreen Kitaro pled not guilty to drug charges during an arraignment hearing in the district court. A federal indictment was handed down against them Wednesday. The two were officially charged with conspiracy to distribute and attempted possession of methamphetamine hydrochloride. Quifunas faced an additional charge of possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Both were remanded to the custody of the U.S. Marshals. Trial was set for November 30th. News from the nation capital: companion bills H.R. 5338 in the House and S. 2798 in the Senate, expanding the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, RECA, have been introduced today. That, according to the original co-sponsor, Congressman Michaelson Nicholas. As companion bills, both pieces of legislation are able to move through both chambers of the Congress simultaneously, enhancing and expediting its chance of passage. Of note, the bills expand RECA to include Guam, which upon enactment would provide a one-time benefit to downwinders of $150,000 as persons who were present in one of the specified areas near nuclear weapons test sites during a period of atmospheric testing and developed one of the type of cancers specified in the statute. And with sports, what? All right. We're not going to do sports. We're going to do sports later.
Yes, we are.
Thanks for the heads up there,
Sorry,
guys.
I'm
Really
sorry.
appreciate that.
It's rapidly evolving,
there's
Sabrina.
There's a lot of sports to get to because
Yeah,
Dave Delgado's got a lot
He
of
does,
stuff.
yeah, and we'll do that in our 8 o'clock newscast, which is brought to you by Pacific Points at 7 a.m.
Operating without a net here.
You know, it's calling an audible football season. At 7 o'clock, we're at KUAM FM, Agotni, Guam. Let's go now to the KUAM News Zoom room, where the former chair of the Physicians Advisory Group, Dr. Hoa Wen, is standing by. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, guys. Wonderful morning. It's very cloudy and raining outside.
Yeah, it is. Raining down COVID still. Wrapping up week 8 of this surge, Doc. You were one of the voices early on, back when you were advising the governor, and you continue to say that we were still going up the hill, right? And here we are. Just wanted to get your take on what you're seeing at the clinic, because I know I spoke with you a little bit this week, and it's been very, very crazy for you guys at AMC, right?
Yeah, it's been very busy. You know, we have both the COVID and non-COVID patients coming in. We see the bulk of the non-COVID patient now is because people wait for so long. Complications start, so it's very hectic to try to manage both sides. But you know, so it feels like we are, like I say, plateau and try to recover from this. I think that the number are coming down as the virus are burning out. So hopefully we will see less number and hopefully go back in a double digit the next week or so.
All right, Doc. I mean, so looking at the numbers reported last night, it was 101 positives out of 1,067 tests. So that positivity rate's still up around 10%, which is not sustainable, right?
Yeah, it was not. I'm sorry, it was 9.9 the previous day. Today's figures put it at 9.6.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you know, it's never sustainable when you get that high because of something will give up. You know, the healthcare system is very fragile.
Yeah.
But I think that we will recover from this for sure. You know, we are going to go down eventually. Just a matter of how many lives you're going to lose and how much risk to the healthcare worker and the frontline taking. You know, like I said, everyone are getting tired. You know, and we have to worry about now the non-COVID surge. You know, so every surge that we have on the COVID related, there's a non-COVID surge afterward that will run about anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. So we have to get ready for everyone that that have comorbidity to start hitting the hospital and the clinic. That's how things are. So we had to get ready, the healthcare worker to take care of the non-COVID related patient now.
So you say plateaued. So you mean that we've already gone over, because before you're saying we're still climbing that hill. We've already gone over that hill, and now we're just kind of coasting.
Well, this is a bad place to plateau at, though, Doc.
Yeah, I think that we are picking already, and we are going down. And the virus will have a lifespan, and it will burn out even if we don't do nothing. It just takes longer to recover. But no, I think that from what everything is around the world and the history of the virus, we will see a downward trend. It's just the question now is how long that downward trend will last. But at the clinic level, just like the pulse of the community, we are seeing a lot of people come in for close contact testing, but the number of COVID positive in the clinic are starting to go down. So that's a good sign. So I think that as a community, our number will start to go down this week or next week, hopefully.
And as they go down, do you foresee the governor, I guess, changing her executive orders and allowing unvaccinated individuals to go into the restaurants and and things like that, or is she going to continue to have this divide between unvaccinated and vaccinated?
I think that that direction not going to change. I think the unvax going to be somewhat a disadvantage as we go forward. But I would say that we should follow the community somewhere around the world that would allow the unvax to attend the restaurant and the gathering. No, there's a lot of testing now. So I mean, you can suggest people to test before they attend those the restaurant, the business. Testing are fast now, so take 10, 15 minutes. So I think that some sort of implementation for testing for the unvaxxed to attend, just like Hawaii, if you are unvaxxed, you can test up to 48 hours before you go to those events. So I think that something like that should be in place because life have to go back to normal for the unvaxxed also, and you have to respect that. Just because some people, doesn't matter what you do, they will stand firm what they believe. So we cannot kind of force them to change their beliefs. So I think we have to respect them and move forward and make some type of accommodations for them to go on their life.
Doc, let me just ask you about the unvaccinated, right? So we continue to have these protocols and measures in place, and the governor's deadline for her vaccine mandate, where she's forcing government employees and private sector employees to get vaccinated. But then she's also saying if you don't want to get vaccinated, you have to provide a negative test weekly, right? So what we're hearing is that the exemptions, right? And so that's another out of this vaccine mandate is you can also file for a religious exemption, a medical exemption. But these exemptions aren't even available. They're still being reviewed at the Attorney General's office. So how unfair is it that we have the governor coming down with these mandates where she's forcing people to take these shots, but at the same time the government is not doing their part to allow people to be exempted from this process?
There's two things, right? The mandate for vaccination and the unvaxxed to be tested weekly. It's really a very hard. I don't know how they're going to even monitor that. It's really everything manual. You have 1,000 people. I like to say that about 1,000 people in Guam or more, and the private business, a lot of unvaxxed on each of the company and business. So I'm not quite sure, how anyone going to monitor that efficiently. It's all the manual process, and you cannot do that. Public health don't have the manpower to do that. So it had to be some type of spot check because, how are you going to ask how much percentage of people in your business is vaccinated or not? So it's an impossible task to do. So that is a challenge by itself on top of everything else that public health have to do. Regarding, from exemption from medical and religious belief, it's very hard. I tell you, I know there's some people are going to go in and ask for the physician to give the exam, but the final authority will be a public health, and like I say, I'm not sure who's over there that will be responsible to make a decision for religious or medical exemption or not. You need a very seasoned physician or some type of experienced administrator to make those decisions, because I tell you, it's very easy to challenge in court, and it's very hard decision to make. I feel for them, and we have patients come in and ask for exemption for medical reason, and it's almost impossible to give medical exemption except for pregnancy. That's an easy one to give, just because you have to respect the baby. and the outcome of the baby. So that's something you can give, but everything else is almost impossible to give. So I just say that whoever make the decision on public health have a very challenging hat to fill.
Did you catch our interview with Lonnie Navarro from Environmental Health when she was talking about the enforcement they do at the bars? I know that you've seen those couple videos circulating around. She said that when public health responded to those bars, they found no violations, right? And then when we asked her, how do you check the vax-unvax? She said they just ask the bar, are you guys checking? And if they say yeah, then they're good. They don't really go in and really verify any of these self-attestations or anything. Do you think that we need to be more stringent in the enforcement? Because you've been Doc, you've been the voice that said it's coming from the bars.
Yeah, I mean, that's reality. That's the data. Everyone, it's not just us. Everyone around the world, but just listen to Sean's clips a little bit there. I mean, the data is there. Every time that you have a safe country, once you open the bar, everything break loose, and it's no brainer for that one. So I think that we just need to realize it and put our foot down on those situations, because once you control that section, it's benefit the whole community as a whole. So I know it's hard to do, but it's like I said, you have to think the whole big picture as Guam and not just little section of the business. So yeah, I mean, I listened to that and kind of very disappointed because I think that it's just a lot of to me, I'm not mean to say a lot of excuse, a lot of smoke, but you have to deal with the reality. And, the video, you can't say that the video is not submissive. I mean, you can't, those are not actors, those are real life video. So you have to take those on the behalf of Guam and protect the people and take action to correct it. But it's kind of hard to go and to do an inspection where you go into your uniform and people know you're coming. It's kind of hard to do inspection like that, So they have to come a different way, and also if they're gonna hold business like that, then they should hold the private sector the same. I mean that if you have a wedding or a funeral or whatever, a party at your house or wherever, it had to be the same. You have to maybe hold the host responsible and not go and inspect every individual at the private function. I think it had to be one standard across the board and not to have one standard for one business and a standard for another business.
I kind of wanted to follow up on what you said earlier about this plateauing, because it was just a week ago when you were on here and you were talking about how we needed to have restrictions, that the numbers were going to go up, and if we keep getting these positives, it's sooner or later we're going to see triple-digit hospitalizations. And so I'm just kind of wondering why it seems like you changed your position, because plateau was a word that the governor used on another media.
Yeah, Sabrina, we coming up as expected. I think our highest is 300, but the virus also have a burnout rate too. So we were hoping that it's not hit the triple digit in the hospital. Wish we didn't get, so that's good. I think the best thing that happened to us in trying not to get that triple digit is the monoclonal antibody, treatment. I think the Guard did a wonderful job in standing up the treatment center, and that will cut down the hospitalization a lot. I mean, 70% of the patient, the decreased hospitalization, that treatment alone, that will save the hospital. But it's not changed the tune. It's just that we have that standing up. We have the monoclonal antibodies since November of last year. We have not been using it.
Yeah.
But with that ability to treat on a second surge. But the problem is that the implementation planned and not put in place at that time until now. But we had that since November last year. But again, it's a great way to protect the hospital and a great way to deal with the surge. Right now, the only thing that we have to do is make sure that the positive rate are coming down. And I would expect, because we've been in there for about 8 weeks already, that the burnout rate for the virus will be burnout. So we should see the number of positive rate coming down. We see that in the clinic in the past 3 to 4 days or so. So hopefully that will continue.
Doc, that being said, right, as we wrap up week 8 of this surge, just going back, because this has been, again, 8 weeks, we've seen, did you have that, how many deaths? And, well, we've seen thousands of positive cases.
That wasn't on that thing you sent me.
Yeah, an alarming amount of deaths, right? But we put in these restrictions that you've routinely called ineffective, and they, I mean, just a cursory look at the numbers over the last 8 weeks, it really looks like these restrictions targeting the unvaccinated don't work. But I just want to ask, could we have saved more lives if we had done something early on in this surge?
That's a possibility. After the facts always, give you a better picture. I think that what we have to come out of this surge, if we have to learn from what our mistake and what we need to do, and come up with a solid plan for the next one, right? Because, like I say, this virus is really very dangerous. It will mutate and have another variant. So what we need to do is basically, learn from our mistake here, come up with a solid plan of early testing, strategies testing that effective, and put some restriction together in the fund, and continue the monoclonal antibody treatment to make sure that the hospitalization are low. Now, seriously, as we said before, doesn't matter. We have a lot of positivity in the community. No, we have to try to curve it down to a double digit, a single digit number. But the one that the end line is the hospital. We got to protect the hospital at all costs, because again, it's not just COVID. It's a lot of non-COVID patient fatality that we have to deal with. Just like right now, we will have to plan to deal with the non-COVID surge after this COVID kind of died down. So the next 2 to 4 weeks will be a lot of non-COVID related complication we had to deal with.
Well, I think the people of Guam have done a good job in protecting the hospital. I mean, we have a vaccination rate of 86% as of today. Shortly after liberation, we had an 80% vaccination rate.
Yeah. So Sabrina, the big difference and the blessing on this surge compared to the last surge is our immunization. I tell you, that will cut down the death a lot. We have like about 41 deaths or something, 42 right now. But I tell you, and the hospitalization, we would not be where we are at this point regarding, I know the number is high in the hospital and the death rate, but we would not be where we are if this surge don't have immunization. I tell you, we'd be in big trouble if we wouldn't have the immunization.
Yeah, Doc, I mean, when you call this a plateau, right? So GMH canceling elective procedures, the capacity of the ICU, even GRMC, when you look at these JIC reports, they are just slammed with COVID. So is this a plateau we want to be on?
No, we will improve. I think that the term plateau can be that, hey, we kind of max out where we are, but this is not where we're supposed to be, and this is not the norm. Like I said, we need to kind of learn from this and make sure that in the future surge that we do things in a much more rapid way that at the beginning, so that way we will not get where we are at this point. And that's the learning lesson we really have to learn and put some solid plan together, and not like we back in March 2020. So So there's a lot of things we can do, but I'm pretty sure that the number going down for the clinic wise, where we see less positivity coming in to the clinic, and it kind of everything work is magic. It's just kind of good time for the school to open. I think next week. So hopefully, as the trend down, it's also safe for our kids to go back to school also.
So at the end of the day, it sounds like you're saying that it's already too late to implement any new restrictions to try and stop this spread. It has ran its course for the most part through the community.
Sabrina, yeah, right now I think that as you can see that we're not going to put any more restriction there. Doesn't matter what we say. But now that we're going to ask our people to really do the 3W, as you say, and try to curb this itself. And like I said, it doesn't matter what we do. If you go point A to point B, it's the way that we do it, get there faster or slower. And right now, we are getting to that point. But again, it lasts 8 weeks or more. Mm-hmm. So in the future, hopefully we do things a lot faster. It will last about 2-3 weeks and it's gone. Mm-hmm. So that's a learning lesson from the next surge.
Mm-hmm. Now we just came across that a CDC panel endorses the Pfizer COVID booster shot for high-risk adults, but it rejects plans to distribute widely across America. So that just happened, but we do have a question from one of our online viewers. In your opinion, as a former PAG, about mixed vaccines on the latest news, can one take Pfizer booster if I've taken Moderna?
From the CDC guideline, that's not preferred to mix the Moderna and the Pfizer, for the third shot. So it's not something recommended. But if you happen to have it, does it hurt you? No, it's not going to hurt you. Anything else, it will help you to boost your immune system. But it's not preferable. I read one of the story that you guys run about the person that have a mixed dose of Moderna and Pfizer. She's not going to any complication come out of that. She's considered fully vaccinated. So, Sabrina, the end point is that you're not supposed to mix them, but if you happen to mix them, it's not going to hurt you. It's still going to help you.
Yeah, she's got the super immunity now, though, Doc, right?
Yeah, there's some few study out there that if you cross over, that you will have better response, but that's not endorsed by the FDA.
Oh, darn it.
Stay where you are, and I'm sure Moderna will come out with the third dose pretty soon. They're only behind a little bit.
Hold on a sec, Doc. Here, it's not approved for healthcare workers though. So, what do you think of that? Because a lot of our conversation, Doc, over the last few months has been around the waning efficacy of the vaccine, and you're saying 6 to 9 months after you take it, the efficacy wanes. So, Bree and I were talking about the other day is like I've been holding out for this booster because I'm feeling like if this vaccine that you guys gave me, it's wearing off after 6 to 9 months, then hit me with another one. Okay, hit me with another one. But now the booster's out the window. So are we going to have a large segment of our population that's outside of this, immunocompromised elderly group? Are we going to be walking around with, a higher risk of exposure because we're not getting the booster?
No, no, it's not. It's not true that it's not. It will be approved for the frontliner. Especially the healthcare worker and the firefighter and the EMT and the police. So it is approved for the frontliner. And they are considered one of the high risk people to do that. And when we talk about frontliner, right? I mean, you talk about the people that work in the supermarket, the people that work in the store, people that provide the essential thing for you every day. So those are considered frontliners. So you're talking about it's a wide variety of people there that will be qualified. Right now it's the immunocompromised patient only, and the high risk is and 65 and over. But this week or next week, when the final meeting is, they will approve for the frontliner to get the third shot, the booster shot. So it's coming at the end of this week or early next week.
Yeah, actually, Doc, I'm looking at some breaking news right here. Advisory committee recommends wide swath of Americans be offered the COVID boosters.
Yes.
Yeah. So it says they had a 15-0 vote that adults 65 and older should be offered booster shots, and a vote of 13-2 that the booster dose should be offered to individuals 50 to 64 with underlying health conditions. And a separate vote, the panel left the door open to 18 to 49-year-olds with underlying medical conditions obtaining a booster shot based on assessment of benefit and risk.
Yes. So it's let up to the physician to make his determination if patient are high risk or not. So there's a lot of comorbidity out there on the patient, and I'm very sure that a pretty moderate portion of our island will meet the requirement. So the question is that, if people have Moderna, can they have the Pfizer? Because the Moderna have not been out yet. So that's a big question. The Pfizer, yeah, a lot of people are beginning to have the Pfizer in December, January, especially that's the elderly folks. They should be coming out to get that shot, and hopefully as early as next week.
Thank you, Doc.
Yeah. But
let me know if you want to give me a little bit of that Pfizer on the side. You're meeting a alley somewhere.
If we have left over, I give to you. I'm just kidding. But guys, the school are coming next week, and I just really like to ask the parents to play a big part in the safety to school for next week opening. If your child have any congestion, any runny nose or coughing, or don't feel well, any headache, please do not send the child to school, and just go get tested to make sure there's not COVID. That's protect the school. Okay, and that's really need the parents to really play a big part in that and make sure that our school is safe. And also the big question that people ask is that if you have a close contact positive in the family, if doesn't matter you fully vaccinated or not, unvaccinated, go check your physician before you send the child to the school. If you have a close contact, meaning that the parent turned positive, you have to ask your physician to see what needs to be done before your other child, the other children go to school. So those two steps right there, the parents play a big part of it, and keep the school open, okay, and safe our children. So I really ask the parents to play a big part in this one.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Have a good night. Be safe.
You too. Be safe. Wash your hands.
Stay dry.
All right. 7:28. Good morning. Good morning, Bree.
Good morning.
Right on. It's 7:28. We're going to take a break. I also wanted to go through, you did a great story the other day, what to do after you turn positive, right? And so you looked at a lot of the FAQs up on the public health website, because we had that call. It was an earth-shattering phone call, in my humble opinion. And I actually, I'm not going to say who it was, but I actually talked to a family member of that lady. And this family member told me that the lady who called into the show the other morning really, really, really tried to give public health the benefit of the doubt, and really called and did like her due diligence above and beyond before she reached the point where she felt like, God, the only thing I have left to do is to call the link. Right? And so it wasn't just some random hater or whatever. It was a lady who just felt that people needed to know. And lo and behold, people already knew, because if you look at the comments of this story that Sabrina wrote, it's just full of horror stories. And I was talking to Chima yesterday, and he was asking me, did I know the lady's contact information, because he wanted to talk to her and he wanted to find out, who told her that, everyone's going to get COVID anyway. And so I actually just sent him the link this morning, because I was like, man, Chima, if you're busy trying to track down this one lady, man, you better look at these comments, because it's just insane. And every time we get public health on, and we know they're drowning, it's a pandemic, but my thing is, like, the governor with that $600 million should have hired people. Like, if they need warm bodies to do the entry level type of public health stuff, where you can just do a couple day training and then run right in, and then that frees up more experienced people to go where they're needed. Why didn't we do that? Because all we hear out of public health is they don't have enough staff, and these horror stories in these comments just confirm that. There's a comment from Chris here, and this is on our KUM News Facebook, guys. My wife and daughter caught it. We were supposed to get a call from someone for contact tracing and instructions, but after 3 days and no call, we started trying to call them. It took us a couple more days to get a hold of anyone, and even then, they didn't do anything. They said to stay put. Then at the 10-day mark, they said we were all better and could stop isolation. They didn't test my son or myself at the 10-day mark to see if we caught it during isolation. The VA clinic also told me don't bother testing unless I feel symptoms. For how much they say they care and are concerned, the actual system in place is lazy and broken. Not one single person we spoke to had any concern. Mogathan comments in, after my quarantine at home, I was cleared by public health. They told me that they will send quarantine clearance to my email. After that, I never received anything. I went to public health trying to get my clearance so I can go back to my work, and they told me that they don't know anything about a quarantine clearance. I tried to call some of the public health numbers, and they don't answer the phone. Now I'm stuck at home, can't go back to work. It's been 1 month plus, and my work can't accept me without a clearance. Please, if anyone here knows where I can get it, thank you. And stay safe, Guam. And it's just comment after comment. Bree, I know you read those comments. I mean, I hope you did. There was like 80 of them. It was crazy. So, I mean, that's part of it too, is the longer these people don't get called.
Wow. Julie Kidachai. This is so true. My niece tested positive with the family of 5, and she was pleading with public health to put her in isolation, and public health told her that the Bayview Hotel was already packed. Now her whole family is positive, and they all have to pack up in one small room because there are other family members, an elderly, not to mention a blind person living in the same house.
Yeah. And then there's Tony comments, I'm still waiting for a call for my replacement vaccination card. It takes them decades to respond to an email since they don't know how to answer the phone, and it's very hard to get a hold of them. Marie comments, and same happened to our family. We had to isolate our family member ourselves. They said there was no room. There was a waiting list. They stayed in the room with a small fridge and gas stove. Luckily, our measures were good. No one else in our family was infected. Way to go.
Rita, when my kids and I were first told we were positive, I called the 311 number. I spoke with a lady the first time and asked if there were any spots because they stay in a house of 7 people. We only have 1 bathroom, so we would always come into contact somehow. They informed me they were full and to leave my name and number, and they'd call when they have openings. I'm on day 8. I decided to stick it out because they never called. I also finally got called from public health 7 days into isolation. Also, let me just add that I did go to U.S. Naval Hospital influenza-like illness clinic on a Tuesday. I went because my daughter had a temperature that was around 99 and her teacher suggested we get tested. They took our vitals and concluded that we didn't display any symptoms of COVID. 2 days later, I got tested at Tidzin. Then, night before, I didn't feel well, and from there I was told I was positive. If the ILI clinic had tested me and my passengers, I probably would have shown positive. When I took the test in Tidzin, no one in my vehicle displayed any symptoms, nor are we now. I think the surge is happening because people such as the corpsmen and providers on duty are allowing people to think they only have a cold and not COVID because they aren't displaying any severe symptoms or anything related to COVID other than a runny nose. They need to put their lack of judgment aside and allow people to be tested regardless if they show any symptoms.
Gina Cruz, wow, I was told on Monday that there are no rooms available to isolate at home. Hector, reaching public health continues to be almost impossible. When you finally do reach them, it seems getting help or correct answers is challenging at best. Man. And they just go on and on. John writes in, this is 100% true. My friend tried to get into Bayview as her husband recently had surgery and was just released from the hospital, and she tested positive the following day. She was told they had no space. She called 311 and was told to call all these numbers. She got no help and was advised to isolate away from her family. Well, they all ended up getting COVID. What happened to all these isolation facilities? They spent so much money to hold hotels last year, and now when they are needed, no one can get in. And to top it off, her and I knew someone who tested positive 2 days later and was able to get into Bayview. What the heck is this?
I did reach out, and you heard it in that story, to Guam Homeland Security, because they, have the ones who did the contract for the isolation and quarantine facilities. And Jenna said that, at the time that we did that story, it was 60 out of the 100 rooms, I believe, were full. So they still had rooms. And I know we're talking about different times.
Yeah.
But she also said that she's not tracking that anyone has ever been turned away.
Right. Yeah. So,
But
I mean.
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
They have been.
Larry comments, according to our governor, we're going to just have to get used to it. I'm sorry. Get used to it. Who says that? Who tells you to get used to it when you got 2-3 people dying a day? Who says that? The hospital's not doing elective surgery? Get used to it? Who says that? Who says that? I don't know. A governor shouldn't say that. That's the last thing they should say is, hey, all this, get used to it. Get used to it. Get used to it. Stop complaining. We're going to take a break, guys. Papa Xanax. JK. I took my high blood pressure meds this morning, so we're good. At 7:36, we'll take a break, though, and we're coming back with more information about getting you money. There you go. With our favorite director, Daphne Shimizu of Revan Tax is coming up next on the link. Good morning.
We know you're tired of hearing about COVID-19. Some of you are probably wondering whether this is ever going to end. However long it takes, we all have to do our part, including our children, to hold the line. You can protect yourself and your family by getting vaccinated.
And if you're already vaccinated, don't let your guard down, because you can still give and get COVID-19. And if you're not vaccinated, remember that if you catch the virus, you could suffer more severe complications. At the end of the day, it's the choices we make to protect ourselves, our families, and our community that will control the spread.
We know it sounds repetitive at this point, but again, wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear your mask.
Together, we have to hold the line.
Take in the panoramic beauty of our island each Sunday on the KUM News Instagram with Scenic Sundays. Scroll through the natural beauty of the island on display. Scenic Sundays on the KUM News Instagram is brought to you by Addis Trust and Investment, Location, Service, Trust, and Häagen-Dazs Shops Guam, where every day is made extraordinary.
Listen, watch, and learn from the daily Chamorro News updates from KUAM News. Catch them on the link during the 8 o'clock hour, streaming online on Isla Radio, or on the KUAM News YouTube channel for your convenience. Tune in and stay informed, all while preserving our precious culture through the daily use of our native Chamorro language. Chamorro News updates are brought to you by your familia at First Hawaiian Bank.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, where you get smart insights into your finances so you can make smart decisions with your money. With a daily personalized feed, you can compare your monthly income to spending. That's better. Discover where your money is actually going. You might be surprised. See what's essential and what isn't. The more you use the app, the smarter it gets. With insights from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC and the Medical City, where patients are partners.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time off each Friday to talk, taste, and tempt you with all the latest and greatest food and drinks on Guam. Old faves, new hits, and everything else we can put in our bellies. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link, brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Devondale.
Uno Mixed. We're mixing it up on the last Thursday of every month with a look at lifestyle, entertainment, food, and so much more on the stations, networks, and digital platforms of KUAM Communications. Uno Mixed is presented to you by Docomo Pacific, Better Together, and Pepsi.
The Culture Club returns to KUAM Digital and KUAM News Weekend Edition, highlighting Guam's young artists, activists, and crafters as they work to protect, preserve, and promote our Chamorro culture. Watch this weekly feature on the digital platforms of KUAM News Weekend Edition, brought to you by Hanum.
Guam was once home to over 12 native species of forest birds, each with their own unique sound, color, and role to play in our ecosystem. However, the arrival of the brown tree snake has threatened their existence. Today, only 3 of these species still exist in the wild. But what was once lost can be restored. Join the Department of Agriculture's efforts to restore our ecosystem. It is only through partnerships with various organizations and the community that we can give our native birds a future. Support snake suppression.
Let it be known we rep Guam and the cinema. Let it be known we represent the island life. Yeah. Let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize to fulfill our destiny. Let it be known we rep Guam and the cinema. Let it be known we represent the island life. Yeah. Let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize to fulfill our destiny.
From the outset, my people and my land been conquested. Conquistadors and samurais till Uncle Sam stepped in. Just to teach a lesson, behead you down to stepping. Out of line and put you back to work without a question. And when you're in your lessons, you couldn't speak the tongue that you was blessed with. My grandparents recorded very freshly. Hardy folk, whether we in caves or up on laddie stones, beat me down, but my soldiers always carry on. Ain't no coward, trained to stand my ground from a young dude. It's a 30-mile island, what the hell I'm gonna run to?
Let it be known we rep Guam and the cinema. Let it be known we represent the island life. Yeah. Let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize to fulfill our destiny. Let it be known we rep Guam and the cinema. Let it be known we represent the island life. Yeah. Let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize to fulfill our destiny.
I'm coming and swinging with my machete to these busters. We ain't going nowhere, we hold it down, homie, trust us. Represent my island, no retreat, no surrender. It's to the death with us, so expect nothing lesser. Sling, stone, and warrior, focus as you balance. All it takes is one hit. You heard of David and Goliath, imagine branches and stones versus guns and knives. One thing you should learn is that my people survive. You preserving your way of life, Atulati hauna soldier. You got your moral pride, Atulati hauna soldier. Throw your hands up high, sa Atulati hauna soldier. Nunaya mi matai sa Atulati tuna soldier.
Let it be known we rep Guam and the scene of mine. Let it be known we represent the island line. Yeah, let it be known we living out our dreams.
Good morning.
Keep our eyes on the prize.
Buenas.
Friday,
It's 7:45. Let's go and get right into it. Here on the link, Pacific Points, IT&E, Cabo Enterprises, Jack in the Box. Always proud to present every episode of the link. Miss a link, miss a lot, so don't miss it. Good morning. Reverend Tax Director Daphne Shimizu, Lady in Red, is zooming with me. Morning, Daphne.
Howdy, good morning, Chris. Morning, Bree. Morning, Jason. And good morning, Guam.
It's a musical Friday, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to get me started singing because I love to sing.
We would love to hear that.
Oh, wow.
I once won a karaoke contest, but of course there were only like about 5 people, and it was only my
Okay, Daph, you can't just say it.
Yeah, sorry.
Now I got to know,
Yeah.
Daph, do you sing or do you sang?
I know. You know what? So, yeah, I probably like to sing in the shower. I don't know if one of those people that sing in the shower. I love singing in the shower. But my dad's a musician. So I grew up around music, and my brother's a musician. So my dad plays the piano and my brother plays the guitar. So there were times I would make my brother's 10 years younger than me, and I would make him sit in our back kitchen in Maritzo and play Tom Petty, and I'd be like, okay, you're gonna play Free Falling. And so he'd sit there and he'd have to play Free Falling so I could sing. And that's the benefit, I guess, of being the oldest child. You can tell your brother.
Yep.
You know what? Okay, and that being the case, next time you come on the show.
What do you mean next time? Let's just get it over with right now.
Well, Daphne Shimizu's here.
Come on,
She's
get
a
it-
good girl.
You don't got to sing the
She
high
runs
part, Daph.
Reverend Tax.
Oh my gosh.
With the
Jason,
all
you're so
rise
quick-witted.
and the EIP 2 and 3.
I know. And the advanced child tax credit now.
There you
which
go.
I know
There you go.
a lot of people have questions about.
Right on, yeah.
So, as you all know, we did process our first payments for the advanced child tax credit this past Monday, September 20. And, we've been getting a lot of questions, Bree, Jason, and Chris, about the amounts because, I think that there's some confusion as to the amount that it's supposed to be. Because in, stateside, the way that the IRS is doing it is they're doing monthly payments, which started in July, which means people got 6 payments, one every month. Now, our implementation plan was approved in August, and so we were actually approved to do 5 monthly payments. And what we're grateful for is even though we were not able to start in August, we were still able to maintain the 5 monthly payments so that we could do 2 payments this month, which means that instead of, for example, if we broke up the monthly payments into 4, if you were getting $1,800, you would only be able to get $450 this month. But because we're breaking it up into 5, by the time we get to the end of this month, if you're due the $1,800, then you'll get 2 times 360, which is $720. So, we're actually grateful that we were able to, I suppose you could call it stack payments. So the payments are going to be 5 payments. If you are already in our system, we have all of the information for your dependent and you qualify otherwise, you will get 5 full payments. And starting with the payment we ran on September 20, and then we're going to be processing another set of payments next week, Thursday on September 30, and then October 15, November 15, and December 15. And so we're really excited about that. I know there are questions about, at this point, and we are required by our implementation plan to allow for people to make changes to their tax information and also to allow them to unenroll. At this time and for this month of September for the payments, we're only allowing people to unenroll. I know we're getting a lot of calls from people who, don't have, people who, for whom we do not have all the dependent information in our system to be able to pay. Now, the question is then, when will Rev and Tax allow for us to be able to make those changes? Our system is now being worked on so that by the beginning of October, we'll be able to allow for people to log into our portal. But we still also have the manual form, which we had already released. And you will be able to, in the beginning of October, submit your form to us either manually or online, and we'll announce more information there so that you can add a dependent, or if you already had a dependent that you have been claiming, to add the dates of birth, the social security number, or other information for that dependent, so we can go ahead and pay for that dependent. Now, what will happen for those individuals who have qualified dependents and are eligible but did not receive the September 20 or September 30 payment, when we get to October 15, they will receive the 3 payments in a lump sum. So, you will not be behind by the time we get to October 15. We'll make sure, as long as you have submitted your information, we will allow for those, we will provide for the 3 payments. And so you will be caught up by the time we get to October. But right now our system isn't ready. We were just trying to make sure that we started getting, payments out. And we're grateful that we're able to identify, over 15,000 people or taxpayers who are able to qualify so far. And we're expecting that the next check writes that we do in the next months to come will be a little bit larger. So this past check write on Monday was about 15,500 taxpayers that we were processed payment for, and that was about $8.4 million. And again, we'll be doing another check write next week, Thursday.
Okay, so the child tax credit update portal, you said by October? Right.
We're expecting it by beginning of October. Today I'm expecting an update from our vendor who's going to be able to provide a more definite date. So we'll be announcing that once we get it. But at this time, our vendor is still working on the portal. It's been a bit of a kind of a challenging month. Our goals in the month of September were to launch All Rise, to launch the Advanced Child Tax Credit, and to launch also the online driver's license. And so we've been working simultaneously on multiple projects. And so actually, with regards to the All Rise and the Advanced Child Tax Credit, we have the same vendor who's working on the programming. So we launched the All Rise program, and now we launched the Advanced Child Tax Credit. So on the back end now, the portal is being worked on for the Advanced Child Tax Credit. But we will have more definite dates on that. But we're slated to go ahead and open the portal in October, in time for the October 15 payment, Bree.
Okay. And since you did mention All Rise, what is the update with that program?
Okay, so for All Rise, we have processed all A status applications through September 7, and last week we made payments for those applications, and to date we've paid processed $26.2 million in payments. So those are, we're slated to run another check write for All Rise real soon. I'm hoping today. We're just going to review the information, but so far we've paid out $26.2 million. And how it's working is we're paying out all A status applications first, meaning there are no errors on the application. And so people have been, receiving their payments. We're getting reports of that. And our review committee, which we've created to review the suspend status applications, that review committee is expected to meet today to identify and review those applications that were S status. And there were many reasons they were S status. Of course, the larger reasons were that an individual didn't have a validly filed and processed return. But for those people who didn't have a validly filed and processed return, they can expect that as long as they're eligible, at the point that Rev and Tax is able to go ahead and process the returns, we'll be able to go ahead and get the payment out to you. So, even though you may not have had a validly filed and processed return at the time that your application was submitted, it is still possible to get a payment. And so our team is working to make sure that we get payments out. We're excited. We actually are already in the month of June in terms of processing. So, we went from, I think 2 weeks ago, we were in May 18, and this week we're already in the month of June. And we're continuing to move forward as quickly as we can for many reasons. Of course, we want to get refunds out to people. We want to make sure as well that people's All Rise payments don't get held up because of their return not being processed in our system yet.
Mm-hmm. How many total were actually filed by the deadline?
So we had over 37,600 applications that were submitted by September 15. And of those, about 18% of them, 6,700, were in a suspend status and so needed to be addressed. And so that's quite a bit of applications. Now, we had just, there were some applications that were what we consider unprocessable, where they were just completely not legible. There was just not a way for us to process it. And we do have a small percentage of applications that were really just, again, they were not legible at all. And so our review team is going to have to review that. So in addition to the 6,700, we still had a couple hundred or so, and I don't have the exact number, where it wasn't only that there was an error, but that the application itself wasn't legible. But those are things that our team will be working to review. The idea is, as we work to, end the program or end the application period, of course, the idea is that we, then we're able to shift gears, focus on reviewing manual applications, or actually entering all of the manual applications, of which we received over 9,500. And so we could get those into the system and then work to review again now the S status application so we could get them paid. So, we're hopeful that we'll be able to get the majority of payments out to people. Actually already 26.2 million has been paid out. And, we are expecting, though, that we will exceed the original, what was indicated, the 30 million. But of course, Governor has indicated that is something that, we'll be able to identify funds for. So, that should not be an issue.
Out of the 6,700 that you said were in S status, I'm sorry, did you clarify whether or not a majority of those, or if not all of those, were manual filers or online?
So I don't have the breakdown of the, but to be honest, actually, Bree, early on when I was looking, and I will have to look at the stats again maybe, but early on when we were reviewing the manual versus online, it was between 15 to 17%, and it was pretty much the same in terms of errors for manual and for online. So it wasn't like one was extremely, it was kind of significantly off from the other. We were seeing about, again, it was between 15 to 17, and now the average overall is 18. Mm-hmm. So, we were not seeing, again, a drastic difference between the error rate or the S rate between the online and the manual. At least early on. So I will have to check. I've just been looking at what our total is, because that's really the issue, is just trying to make sure we get to all of those as soon as we can.
Right. And again, just for the 6,700, do they know that there are errors on their applications?
We have not provided notice to people at this time, and that's something that our review committee is going to be working on. For some of them, as I mentioned, for example, if it's an issue with a tax return that wasn't validly filed and processed, and of course we went from May to June filing in terms of processing it already. So some of those might already be, have been converted or are getting converted to A. But again, what we're doing is we're paying out all of those that were A to begin with, 100% A, and then we're going to go and try to address those ones which I guess become converted, and then, again, review the S status ones to see if more can be converted to A. We really do want to get payments out to as many people as, are eligible to get these payments. We recognize that a lot of people stayed in line for long periods of time, and, if we can get payments out to them, even if they submitted an error status or an S return, we're hopeful that that we're going to be able to, again, convert as many of the S's to A's as we can, at least for those that, again, where the S status can, where it is possible to make them eligible somehow. But, there are reasons why people would not be eligible completely. One of them is, we did have people who submitted applications, but they exceeded the adjusted gross income threshold. So, of course, they, no matter what happens, they will not be eligible. There were also some people who didn't meet the requirements of the executive order. There's, I believe it's section 5 of the application, which asks you multiple questions, whether I'm a resident of Guam, whether I, actually experienced negative economic impact. So there were those questions, and some people actually, they indicated that they were not residents. They indicated that they were not impacted negatively in terms of the negatively economically. So those ones, of course, in Section 5, again, if you were not eligible, for those reasons, then, you will not get a payment. But where there is an issue of a validly filed and processed return, and then yes, you ended up being processed, or again, we had people who had mailing address issues, social security number issues. Well, that may be a little bit more difficult to address, a social security number issue, but we had mailing address issues, name issues, where sometimes people missed one letter in their name for some reason. So again, those ones are things that we're working to address and hopefully get people payments out for.
EIP 3, right? You're done. You're done with it, right? It's already
EIP 3, actually EIP 3 we pay all the way through December 31, 2021. And so we have probably paid out the majority of it. I believe we paid out like 194 or 196 million within 7 days of April 10. So that was probably the majority of it. But we're still seeing people getting or being paid EIP 3 because they may not have filed a 2020 return. And so as they're filing them and we're processing them, if you notice, we're still paying them. 2 weeks ago, we processed about a little bit over 1 million. Last week, we processed 300,000. And this week, I don't have the numbers yet, but we're continuing to pay. So on a weekly basis, our goal has been to process EIP 3. We have a check write on once a week for EIP 3. We have a check write generally once a week for refunds, again, based on cash availability. And then now we're working to make sure that we have check write for all RISE so we can get those out as well. And we're trying to do it consistently so people can know when to expect the monies, but also so that we can get them out and people don't have to wait so long, wait so long from the point that they either become A or their returns are processed for their payments.
All right, Daphne, thank you so much.
Last chance to sing.
Thank you.
Last chance to sing just a little sniblet of Tom Petty.
When my brother who lives in Japan comes to Guam and he has his guitar, I will sing for you.
We can just zoom him in.
Daph.
You know what? He is my brother is actually he actually writes music. I'm really proud of him. He's he went to the University of Guam, he got his bachelor's degree in sociology, but he is an English and music teacher and he composes music and he plays the guitar and I really just love him a lot. So shout out to my brother.
Right on. Well, Daph, Jason is a very accomplished guitarist, so next time you come on, he's going to bring his guitar.
Okay, as long as it's Tom Petty or I think I could sing. Actually, the song I won my karaoke contest. It was Bob Marley. And I don't even remember. I can't even remember the name of the song, but it was like so fun. I just love to sing.
Let's do a duet next. Daph. Let's do a duet next time. We'll do Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
Yeah.
But you can be Tom Petty. I'll be Stevie Nicks.
Good idea. But have a great day. Stay safe, Guam.
All right.
Take care, Daph.
Thanks again for having me on. Bye.
Everybody, I just want you to carry with you today the image of Daphne Shimizu singing Bob Marley
and crushing it.
Yep.
It's 8:01.
That does not surprise me at all. She's good at everything she does.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump over to KUAM TV, guys. It is Friday morning. We're on the breeze, KUAM FM in Gotney, Guam, but we're jumping over to KUAM TV to continue the show right here on the link right now. Good morning. Okay, hold on a second. That wasn't good. Stand by. Computers. It's so cold out there. My computer froze. The show is proudly brought to you by Pacific Points, Calvo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. Coming up on the show, Attorney General Levin Camacho, Dr. Annette David, and plus we'll have David Elgato with Sports Link, the One Micronesia podcast sneak peek, and then Sabrina and I are going to go to Ruby Tuesday for Feed Me Fridays. That's coming up. Let's just jump on to KUAM TV. Ready? Okay, and 3. Good morning, Guam. Friday. Palaxi to the maxi. Raining cats and good logos. Hi, KUAM TV. Looking a little soggy over there. Good morning. Welcome to The Link. It's proudly brought to you by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box on this Friday morning. Good morning. Let's go ahead and get into the news, shall we? Our 8 o'clock newscast is brought to you proudly by Pacific Points, and here with the very latest from the KUAM News team, ladies and gentlemen, Sabrina Salas-Matanani. Good morning, Sabrina.
Howdy, everybody. The Joint Information Center reports 2 COVID-19 related fatalities that occurred yesterday at the Guam Memorial Hospital. The 183rd fatality was a 76-year-old man vaccinated with multiple underlying health conditions. He tested positive on the 13th. The 184th related fatality was a 56-year-old man unvaccinated with multiple underlying health conditions. He tested positive on the 8th. The JIC also reports 74 people hospitalized for COVID, 15 patients receiving ICU level of care, 10 on ventilators. Out of the 74 hospitalizations, 46 unvaccinated. The vaccination status of 5 unknown, 23 vaccinated. Public Health reports 101 new cases out of 1,067 tests performed on the 22nd, 20 identified through contact tracing. To date, there have been a total of 14,098 officially reported cases, 184 deaths, 2,936 cases are active and in isolation, and 10,978 have recovered. The CAR score, 27.9. GDOE confirming 6 employees tested positive. The cases were identified at Atacao Elementary, Astumbo Elementary, Price Elementary, and 2 separate cases at Daniel L. Perez Elementary. Additionally, 1 case was identified at Teton Central Office. To date, a total of 117,333, or 86% of Guam's eligible population, is fully vaccinated. This includes 10,084 between the ages of 12 to 17 and 107,249 fully vaccinated adults. Today's the deadline set by the governor for all executive branch employees to get vaccinated or submit to weekly COVID-19 testing, according to Adelup Communications Director Crystal Paco San Agustin. As of yesterday, 89% of GovGuam line agency employees are fully vaccinated and 92% have at least their first dose. As far as medical and religious exemptions, Public Health hasn't begun approving requests because forms are still under review. Public Health PIO Janela Carrera told us that the AG's office completed their review of the document, and it's now back with Public Health for their review. Additionally, if you've ever had COVID, it doesn't mean that you're automatically exempt from getting a shot. You still have to submit a doctor's clearance with your request for medical exemption. There's also no word when Public Health will make the forms available. Senator Frank Blas Jr. has asked the governor to delay her vaccine mandates for GovGuam and certain private businesses covered under her executive orders. He believes it should be delayed until the governor provides clarity as to who will accept liability if anything arises because they are being forced to be vaccinated. The senator wrote in a letter to the governor, quote, "I agree that we need to do everything that we can as a community to stop the devastating effects of this virus. However, this has to be accomplished without the force, threats, and divisiveness that has become the course of action for this administration. Line agency employees must be vaccinated by today, while certain businesses covered under the governor's executive order must be vaccinated by the 27th. They can also choose to submit to weekly COVID-19 testing." With more news now, here's Isaiah Uggan.
News Update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Havade, good morning, everyone. Guahusi Isaiah Uggan with your headlines here on The Link. The Monoclonal Antibody Treatment Center has finally opened its doors. With more is Daniel Perez.
The Infusion Center for the REGEN-COV treatment opened today at the Manilao Senior Center. Dr. Louis Cruz of the Guam Guard told KUAM what patients can expect.
Anybody that's coming through this door is COVID positive, and they have been referred either from the TGen testing site or from their primary care providers at one of the clinics or from the hospitals. We're starting small, maybe about 10 to 15 per hour, but we do have the capacity to scale up to about 20 patients per block, so there will be a block of 2 hours.
This treatment is dependent upon the supply of REGEN-COV. Dr. Cruz explains how the treatment works.
The monoclonal antibody treatments are laboratory-made proteins, laboratory-made antibodies that help your body fight off the COVID-19 virus. The antibodies find the virus, neutralize the virus, and thereby killing it off. By decreasing your viral load in your body, patients get better quicker and it prevents them from being hospitalized. This treatment is effective as up to 70%.
Dr. Cruz assured island residents more Regencov is on the way, but he acknowledged the difficulties involved with shipments of it.
We're expecting more this week, up to 400 doses. So hopefully those shipments come in and they're viable and they're not outside the temperature range. So we're trying to make sure that the shipments are coming in and that we're tracking them.
Dr. Cruz said there is discussion about other infusion sites being opened.
We do have those sites identified, and the FEMA team, the FEMA monoclonal antibody team will be here hopefully this weekend, and we can work with them to identify more sites if necessary.
The treatment will be administered by injection. Over 200 patients have been treated and none have had any adverse reactions. The infusion center will be open Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Daniel Perez reporting for Guam's News Network.
Dr. Bob Leon Guerrero has been tapped to serve as Public Health Interim Chief Medical Officer. He fills the position left by Dr. Felix Cabrera, who as of September 17th is on an unpaid extended leave of absence due to personal health reasons. Dr. Leon Guerrero is a longtime local pediatrician and has been with the agency as a physician and immunization advisor. He has been practicing medicine in Guam for almost 40 years. Dr. Bob says treating patients and educating them about preventative measures has been more than just a passion, but a calling. He hopes to continue the legacy of his father, Robert Leon Guerrero, who served as the director of DPHSS in the early 60s. Dr. Bob was also one of the first island residents to be vaccinated when they became available locally last December. A nonpartisan advocacy group is calling on the Office of the Congressional Ethics to investigate 7 House members, including Delegate Michael St. Nicholas. The Campaign Legal Center alleges that the members broke the law by not filing required periodic transaction reports when trading stocks. Nestor Lecanto reports.
In a letter to Office of Congressional Ethics Chairman Mike Barnes, the group charged that Congressman St. Nicholas made securities transactions in 2019 and 2020 worth between $15,000 and $52,370 without filing periodic reports within 45 days as required by the Stock Act. They said an investigation is necessary to determine if his failure to file was knowing and willful. The letter goes on to state that if members are not held accountable for late filing, many may simply wait until their annual financial disclosures to reveal stock trades and pay nominal late fees, thereby circumventing the law. It's a law meant to ensure transparency and to prevent congressional members from illegally profiting off of advance information. The allegations were first reported by National Public Radio, which identified the 7 House members, 5 of whom, including St. Nicholas, are members of the powerful House Financial Services Committee. The Campaign Legal Center alleges that St. Nicholas engaged in the stock sales after he was elected vice chairman of the committee. It further alleges that he may have knowingly violated the law because at the time there were widely publicized reports of high-profile insider trading allegations against several U.S. senators. We reached out to Congressman St. Nicholas, who said he did disclose the exact trades that are referenced and that he is also consulting with legal counsel on the matter. The CLC concludes its letter stating that it believes Delegate St. Nicholas was aware of the requirements and his failure to timely file the transaction reports violates the Stock Act. It asks the Ethics Office to open a preliminary review to determine if it was both an intentional violation of the law and of House rules. The statute provides for a fine of up to $250,000 and 5 years imprisonment for knowingly and willfully making any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
In another big step toward construction of a new hospital complex, the governor has sent her official request to the Interior Department for funding to engage the services of the Army Corps of Engineers. During a recent visit, U.S. ACE District Commander Colonial Eric Marshall recommended starting with a charrette. That's the initial planning stage that he said was a key step in any major construction projects they do. Governor Leon Guerrero's request is for $3 million to bring together experts that will come up with the recommendations for building a major medical campus in Manilao. Separately, lawmakers are scheduled to discuss a bill to fund the design and construction during legislative session, which starts tomorrow. Premiere Week continues on NBC TV 8 tonight with a much-anticipated return, Law & Order Special Victims Unit and Law & Order Organized Crime. Here's a look at what to expect.
To
start the season with SVU and OC together. It just seems natural to me. It's like gin and tonic.
Law & Order SVU is back with its 23rd season, and after a successful first season, organized crime is back.
I think it's what the fans wanted. We've been waiting for so long for Stabler and Benson to reunite.
Liv, where are you? Liv, stay with me.
Elliot.
On SVU, it's interesting, a show that's been going 23 seasons, and what does keep people coming back, and I think it is the quality of the storylines.
There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a lot of times we do catch the bad guy, which I think is pretty satisfying. Congressman Howard, you're a sexual predator, so guess what happens next? It's got a really cool feel because we do have is it a sister or brother show in organized crime? So the world feels expanded a little bit.
What you're going to see on OC is my character, Detective Stabler, will be going undercover inside of an Albanian gang. Well, they got short tempers, military-grade weapons, so they're going to war. Vinnie Jones plays a captain in the mob.
If you are with us, you are with us.
It's a great challenge for me as an actor.
You should have been prepared for that hit. They asked me to do organized crime, and how could I resist? It's just such a special universe, the Law & Order universe.
Whether it be SVU or organized crime, our writers do an amazing job of keeping the drama going.
See you on the other side.
I still don't like this.
We have these rich characters who we love and root for and want the best for.
Here we are, Benson and Stabler back together.
Don't miss the 2-hour season premiere of Law & Order SVU at 7 p.m. and Law & Order Organized Crime immediately after at 9 p.m. tonight on NBC TV8. And for all things fall premiere, including the schedule, make sure you go to KUAM.com. That's it for now. We'll see you tonight for KUAM's Primetime.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
All right, thanks so much, Isaiah. Now we're going to go to the NWS because the last 24 hours or so been kind of dicey. And that's putting it lightly because Landon Idlett and his team over there working hard to make sure that everybody on Guam knows what is up with the weather. Landon, we were spared because what is now a tropical storm really picking up steam as it heads west-northwest of us. But what can you tell us about the events of last night and what you expect to see maybe in the next 12 hours?
Yeah, definitely the storm behaved very much as we were forecasting and explaining to folks over the last 36 hours that we're looking at a baseline minimal tropical storm as it passed through the islands. And it did exactly that. So thankfully, we were very lucky. My concern waking up yesterday morning, seeing that burst of convection near that low-level circulation center as a depression, was that it was going to start intensifying more rapidly. And that's always a concern for us, especially for something approaching the islands. Luckily, there were some mitigating factors in that ultimate development as it approached and then passed over southern Guam, just south of Maritza, I believe, around 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon. We were very lucky as an island because the stronger conditions were felt all to the north of that developing tropical storm. So we were talking about a very asymmetric system in our heavy weather briefs yesterday, and that's indeed what happened. We had a much better weather scenario for Guam most of the afternoon yesterday with peaks of sunshine throughout the day. But farther north, they had a lot of rain, thunderstorms, gusty winds. They did exceed tropical storm force conditions across Saipan, especially the upper elevations, Wireless Ridge. They did get a wind report, gusts maximizing at 55 miles per hour and a sustained wind, I think, of 43 miles per hour. So tropical storm force winds are 39 miles per hour and greater sustained with higher gusts. For us on Guam, we did have a max wind, I believe it was at 46 mile per hour peak winds at Anderson Air Force Base, and to a lesser extent here at WFO Guam and Barrigada. So let me turn my camera around, show you what we're looking at. That weather did indeed fill in over Guam beginning right around 4 o'clock, and that was that center made its closest point of approach around 4 o'clock. We saw the wind, the rain bands start whipping up around the southeast and eastern side of that low-level circulation. And that's what came up over Guam around 4 p.m. And then it got heavier and heavier through the evening. Mm-hmm. So we had some locally torrential heavy rainfall for short periods of time across central Guam and other parts. I was driving out there from Kings and Harmon after dinner at 7 o'clock, and it was coming down in sheets, blowing pretty hard. That continued through much of the evening hours, off and on through the night. And so we're having some lingering showers with these rain bands still overhead. So we did dropped the tropical storm warning at 8 o'clock this morning. We were debating ending that at 5 o'clock, but we wanted to ensure that these rain bands did get sufficiently offshore and move to the west with the stronger winds. And so we were looking at the available analysis and data coming in. Once we were confident that those stronger tropical storm force winds have pushed outside of our coastal waters, which extend 40 miles to the west of the island, that's when we canceled the warning at 8 o'clock. So that does not mean it's over for us. We're going to see the gusty south winds coming up on the far eastern periphery of this tropical storm as it moves away. That's still going to keep the showers and thunderstorms coming up over Guam and the CNMI through this morning, probably starting to taper this afternoon, but we still have a flash flood watch in effect for the islands through 1 o'clock this afternoon. The other hazard, we have a hazardous surf advisory for surf upwards of 9 feet along east-facing reefs and south-facing reefs. We'll probably get a little bit of surf spread over to the west-facing reefs, but I don't think it's going to reach hazardous levels over there because the data just does not support that. This is the polar orbiting satellite show those winds at the surface. Much stronger winds again to the north. That's the center. This was about midnight early this morning. The center, west of Guam right there to the west. Those stronger winds all in the northern semicircle. Much weaker winds to the south and over that center. That's where we were yesterday. This is where we were overnight with those stronger winds pumping up from the south. So we're going to be kind of in a monsoonal type flow today and through tonight, gradually tapering as all of this moves westward. So things will be gradually clearing out, but expect the showers, the clouds, isolated thunderstorms, and gusty winds to persist through today. The seas will remain up there. So we are right at peak sea conditions.
Wow.
And we might see another peak right there as the winds pump up with a rain band. And then things will quickly subside as we go into Saturday, as well as surf. So seas remain hazardous for combined seas of around 10 feet, plus the strong winds over the waters. And then they will quickly subside as the same moves farther away.
And that's the one thing that I've really come to appreciate, the way you guys break down weather information is even though, we are out of harm's way as far as any immediate threat, now we got to deal with the back end of this thing. And as your charts were showing, it's a very odd looking storm. We're used to seeing like these really kind of like tight spirals and everything like that, but we got like all this fringe stuff, like as you said, that we're going to have to deal with over the next day or so.
Yeah, meteorologically, we like a very symmetric storm, like a typhoon, something that's well formed.
Yeah, it's kind of like alphabet soup now.
Yeah, that's certainly a bad thing for the public, for impacts and expectations. But for meteorological standards and forecasting, it's much easier to forecast and predict a well-developed typhoon where its track is more consistent, steady, solid, and the impacts are more evenly felt. This one's been a very lopsided, asymmetric system, and that's what we were really discussing in the head weather briefs really since Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. Today's Friday. My days are running together right now, but this has just been one of those developmental systems where they're lopsided. It's really not well organized. And of course, that was to our ultimate benefit that we did have the few and minimal impacts that we did as an island, both Guam and the CNMI. So we were fortunate on that one, and we avoided yet another worse system. We've seen the worst that nature can provide, and so we're fortunate. We do have a lot of typhoon season left ahead of us. We're just now at the end of September, so we still have October and November to go through. So don't turn your back to nature yet.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, at least for the current moment, we do want to, let you get some very well-deserved shut-eye, or at least a cat nap, because I know you got some work ahead of you. But you are part of the discussions, in concert with the military and the governor, or at least you're privy to them about, if we are going to change condition of readiness. We're currently in Core 3. Have you any indication of when we will go back to Core 4?
That's going to be up to the Homeland Security and the governor's office, and that will probably come in the coming hours if they have not already changed yet.
Okay, gotcha. All right, hey, thanks for the hustle, man. We really, really appreciate it. And final question: what is the preferred snack of choice for meteorologists when you guys are pulling all-nighters in these things?
Coffee.
Good choice.
I don't know if there's anything else.
Well, you certainly earned your paycheck, man. We as a community are really appreciative of you guys grinding over there.
Recall back to September 2018 when we were working Typhoon Mangkhut coming through the islands. That was my first storm that I had to work while Chip Guard was off island in Chuuk on work. I worked 72 hours in 4 days over that weekend. That was my weekend off. And I ate very little over those 4 days. It was all work. we get coffee between my office and Homeland Security office. Back in those old days, we were in person. And I lost 15 pounds in 4 days.
Nice.
I'm trying not to do that this time.
Well, when you got a job that you really love doing, it's never like work at all and everything. So again, great job. Have a good nap, man. You certainly earned it.
Thank you. And
All right,
thank
we'll
you
talk
all
to you
for
later.
the help in communicating.
Absolutely.
See y'all one Monday.
All right. Thank you much.
All right, thank you, Landon. Jason, thank you. Back to Sabrina Salas Mantanani with our newscast. Good morning, Sabrina.
Actually, we're going to head to sports, where we've got Dave Delgado with your Sports Link.
Sports Link, brought to you each week by Pure Alkaline Water, Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape.
I'm here with Austin Mendiola, a 2021 graduate out of Notre Dame High School, playing collegiate volleyball out in California for Mesa College.
I chose Mesa one reason. I've always wanted to come after like high school in Guam. I always wanted to come and go to school here in San Diego and kind of just like move here to California. And so I was looking at junior colleges and I saw that Mesa was like really big in sports. Like they were one of the best in San Diego. So I emailed the coach and she emailed me back and we had a phone call and all that stuff. And so she ended up giving me a spot on the team. And so, yeah, like it all happened kind of really fast. I wasn't supposed to leave Guam till like late August. And then I ended up leaving in July because I needed to be out in a week's notice. So yeah, it was all really fast and it was just a great opportunity. And just
talk a little bit about the college, where you guys compete, and maybe some of the top teams that you guys face in your conference.
We compete in a PCAC. That's our conference. But what we just finished now is our preseason. So we challenged like teams in Southern California mostly, not necessarily like our conference, but we challenged like teams like Santa Barbara and Long Beach and like so we've done a lot of traveling, especially for preseason. And so next week is when we actually start PCAC, and that's we start on Wednesday, and that's more like our specific conference.
Your team finished 7-3 in the preseason.
I think the game that kind of stood out to me was our game against Santa Barbara. It was kind of like, that was like the longest I've ever traveled for a game ever. So that was a new experience in itself. And then when we got there, like the caliber out here, it's just like, it's a lot. Everybody's really good. So like being there, and then kind of just, I got to go in and play, and I got to play like for a good amount of time.
Was there anything that you really had to switch up in order for you to be able to compete out there?
For one, just even adjusting to the new system, to Mesa's like new volleyball system. I've been working on that and working on adjusting, but specifically like back home, I kind of could just swing away because, again, I was like on the taller side. I could swing away, kind of just, like just be on that taller side and not have as big of a block as I do out here. So definitely out here so far, what's taught me is that like my shots and more, it's like for me, it's more about placements and more about like spots and zones and stuff like that, and just like kind of a mix of different kinds of swings, not necessarily just me back home like swinging away all the time on the small blocks that we have. So yeah, I mean, I've definitely had to mix it up and learn like a wider range of like shots, and then also like passing.
Marvin Linder, athletic director over at Southern High, also the ESA League president. With the governor announcing sports able to resume practices and hopefully leading up to play real soon, what are the newest protocols with athletes and coaches?
The newest protocol that the governor and public health has implemented is the vaccination requirement for all athletes and coaches. There's a couple things they can do. Either they have to be vaccinated at least one shot, or they can do their weekly testing. So that's the biggest one.
Any word on which sports might be first to see action this season?
We are going to start off with girls volleyball, cross country, and we are going to implement football first quarter. Well, we really don't have quarters right now because we've broken up. We delayed so long that we're playing into the second quarter. So right now we're going to have them 3 sports start. I'm pretty much trying to get schedules completed and proposed schedules completed for second quarter to see how it looks. But hopefully we're trying to get everything done before Christmas. And then the second half of the year, we'll resume our normal calendar year and normal scheduling. So that's our goal right now.
A lot of talk with spectators. Are we going to go back to how it first started, where one athlete, maybe one parent, or what's that decision like?
Right now, the newest guidance from Public Health 2021-23, I think it states 4 spectators per athlete. But schools can reduce the number based on the capacity of like a gym, for safe social distancing and so forth. So right now we are going to probably reduce that number for our girls volleyball because some of the gym sizes are just too small to have, 100 people in there at 6 feet distancing. A good example would be Sanchez. Their gym's a lot smaller than Southern, so their numbers may be a little reduced more than ours. But either way, what's going to happen is the same thing as we did earlier in the year, where each school gave a list of spectators to the school that they were playing against. And we were able to, do the COVID tracing really well with that. And so we're going to implement that also. So every school will have a COVID tracing list for spectators and athletes.
Terry DeBow, IIAAG president, with the governor allowing sports to return to practices. What's the latest with athletes and coaches?
Well, fortunately, the kids were already practicing at the beginning of the school year in anticipation of a normal sports season. We were set back because of that, for 3 weeks due to the upswing, the uprise in the cases, which we understand it was a precautionary measure. Unfortunately, it did affect some of our practice time. However, with the IIAAG, we have the 3-season calendar now. So our sports seasons during the fall sports would be cross country, boys beach volleyball, boys soccer, girls volleyball, and bowling. We worked together to put the return to play protocols together ever since November of last year. Those were approved by Department of Public Health. So essentially, we're just going to re-implement those rules. Those are all the necessary mitigation protocols, including providing the rosters and names of the athletes and the coaches and the other participants, and doing the temperature checks, ensuring that all the facilities are prepared with and sanitized, just to ensure that all of our activities are performed in compliance with the guidelines and to ensure that our kids are protected, as well as the coaches.
Anything with vaccination as far as athletes, coaches, and potential spectators?
Like anybody else, we're going to comply with the regulations. So all the teams are required to do the due diligence and in checking the vaccination status of their participants. If weekly tests need to be done, give thanks to Public Health right now. They've been very hard at work doing the training for the Binax testing. In fact, we had 10 people that were trained within our organization that pretty much complements a large number of others throughout this private schools that have already been tested, trained, and certified for the Binax testing. I'm just thankful that the governor's given us this opportunity, and that I think it reflects her trust as well as the medical community's trust and the interscholastic organization's ability to safely conduct these activities for our kids. I think it's a very important part of the livelihood of our students. Everybody keeps on repeating it. I mean, it's about the mental, social well-being, emotional well-being of our students.
Ed Owingereng, 2009 graduate from Southern High School. stationed here on island, serving in the U.S. Coast Guard. This was your first time making it on the all-Navy triathlon team.
The Navy triathlon team, every year they put out a annual solicitation for triathletes to apply for. They select all the top applicants to, to vie for the all-Navy triathlon team. Being for the Coast Guard, working with the Coast Guard, we do not have our own triathlon team, so therefore they take Coast Guard submissions as well. And then every year they prep for the Armed Forces Championship in Ventura County, California, at the Navy Air Station that's out there.
Well, you finished 28th overall with a time of 2 hours, 19 minutes in the most recent competition held on September 11th.
I'm somewhat of a specialist when it comes to triathlon. Cycling is my strength. I think they used me for my cycling abilities. It is a draft legal triathlon event. So my one mission was, as soon as I come out of the swim, was to look for my first teammate and help him on the bike portion so he can draft off me, so he can save all his legs for the run, which will count. And the faster he runs and the higher he places overall, the better score our overall team will get. And I'm happy to say that I was able to accomplish that mission, contribute to the all-Navy team winning first place overall over the other military branches that were in attendance.
You are a professional cyclist for Guam's only UCI Continental team, Euro Cycling Trips, CMI Pro Cycling team. The great thing is you qualified for the Xterra World Championships to be held in Maui.
This is a pretty interesting year with COVID due to the lack of opportunity to travel. The way to get in and have a chance to compete in the World Championships for Xterra in Maui, Hawaii, there was a wait list and a lottery, and two of us actually got in off the wait list from Guam, which is pretty exciting. It's myself and Jennifer Camacho, and we're both will be prepping for these next 3 months to represent Guam at the World Championships.
You're looking at competing in the elite.
Right now, with the COVID restrictions, like I said, there's an opportunity for me to compete at the elite division at the World Championships to represent Guam with my professional cycling credentials that I do have. So that is an acceptance. Right now, Guam Cycling Federation President Eric Taidinko has sent them an email with my request. And so far, I meet all the prerequisites. So I'm waiting just to hear back. And really exciting at the moment. I got a lot of support out here in Guam with all my sponsors, with Bike Fix, Cars Plus, Ram Trucks, and the Bridge Fitness, and they're all behind me 100% in preparation for Xterra World Championships.
Keep it locked to the stations of KUAM for all your NFL action. We get you started early in the morning, Monday, September 27th at 3 a.m. NFL on CBS, KUAM TV 11, Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then at 10:20 in the morning, change it over to KUAM TV 8 for some Sunday Night Football. The Green Bay Packers at the San Francisco 49ers.
Sports League brought to you each week by Pure Alkaline Water, Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape.
Refresh.
And now with your tomorrow news, here is Kin Conception.
Buenos updates to get soon to be finod sa morgan ni KUAM News. Presenta ni Familian Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank. Zim Fusion Center sa mababag sa Mangilaw Senior Center. Isang lugar na sinamatataw na Zim monoclonal antibody treatment na mafananaan Regencov. Manafan man bisita itaw to media gi inigam no ogan. Segun si Dr. Louis Cruz, kumugwahan matest positibo para COVID-19, sina ma-referi guat to Game Fusion Center kumukwalifika para ortusiya na necesidad. Guad 250 na vial Regencov sa manan nagamas para patumagigwahan. Iman maamte ni Westi sa man mapulan para na ora gi después. Ilinya si Cruz na dyan ay nanti sa 60% na efektibo puno maspitad imalango. Yung Fusion Center kita Mangilaw sa mababa Lunes hasta Sabado, desde las 9 egan hasta las 5 gipupuengi. Otro mas asunto, Pauguto mo na dia sa goni gobyerno para todo empleo y eksekutibo na rama sa gobernamento para farmabakuna pa sinoma test kada semana para COVID. Gansi sila man may ekskusa sa profesyon reliyon pat kondisyon mediko. Desde Pawi Public Health di ma-prepare na requesta sa inform parado desde Pawi ma-review ha. Igom Information Officer para Public Health si Janela Carrera asangan na fusiyan na nirada abogado sa esta manapfanaza ni review niya na zina dokumento pa sa esta kaya gitatigi Public Health. Mas masyagi na nanadzihaw ni COVID, di kumikaling adso na may skusa po doon madulog. Debi yung gaidso clearance ni medico, para di siya line agency na empleo, ni man ma-apreba para exemption, debi lukad yung formates kada semana. Tawad informasyon yun na pero mga nagwaha ni adso na form. Yuto mo na suntog ifinut sa morugin ni KUAM News para paungo na business. Si Senador Frank Blas Jr. sa vice ng gobyerno pero diteni naza i-mandate binakuna para gobernamento sa palusihan na business. Ilang na debidiu maditeni naza hasta kaya na klari gobyerno hati responsable para accept ay liability po sa kaso hapagwaha sa man maufetsas para fan mabakuna. Empleo ni line agency siya sa debido fan mabakuna untis di dia 24 September. Zay palo gi business siya debido empleo o fan mabakuna untis di dia 27 September. Sinya loki maadzeg na masabmiti ite si COVID kada semana. Según si Cristo Paco San Agustin, ni Communications Director para Adilup, esta hulog ipago na dia, esta 89% na empleo ni line agency siya para gobernamento sa mga nakabalis binakanan niya, sa 92% sa esta man madulog ni prevent na amod. Para Guam News Network, Guam Second Conception. Yasuto ifinut sa moro sa presenta sa ninafatto ni Familia Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, where you get smart insights into your finances so you can make smart decisions with your money. With a daily personalized feed, you can compare your monthly income to spending. That's better. Discover where your money is actually going. You might be surprised. See what's essential and what isn't. The more you use the app, the smarter it gets. With insights from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes. With insights from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Hey, good morning and welcome back. 841, The Link, Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, ITNE, and Jack in the box. Morning, Jay. Morning, Bree, and morning, AG. Joining us in the KUAM News Link Zoom room, Attorney General Even Camacho. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. You were so giddy yesterday during that post-mortem commission meeting.
Yeah, if there's ever a time to be happy in those meetings, yesterday was a good meeting to have. So we welcomed a new member to the commission, Dr. John Taitano. So we're giving him the credit with us having the good news to share that we have qualified applicants.
So what is it? Three applicants? Is that right?
We have 3 applicants. I believe 2 of them have already been rated eligible. They meet all the requirements, and with the exception of being licensed to practice medicine in Guam. So we put together a search committee, and in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to get those interviews done and hopefully convene the entire commission and move forward with the process. So it's exciting. I think we have not gotten this far yet, where we've actually had not only 1 but 2 applicants. We have a 4th individual who's also interested, kind of as a backup. And the other news from yesterday's meeting was that we've added another forensic pathologist on contract to kind of build into the rotation, just to get people out there a little bit quicker as needed.
Is this one from Arkansas?
Correct. He's the chief medical examiner out of Arkansas. I believe his name is Dr. Brown. So I know one of the proudest moments, I was in a gas station and the guy called me Brown. And I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of a little bit old school. So, but yes, we can call it Dr. Brown when he comes out.
What changed, AG, is because, we've been at this for, I want to say it's
2018.
Since 2018, right?
I will say we had so our office has been working with GMH to receive the applications and to rate the applicants. So we have an initial meeting just to explain the process, that we have a commission, that there's this whole process that we have to follow through. And although they've applied to our office, just for everyone, I don't run the medical examiner office. I've kind of been operating in that role in the absence of a chief medical examiner. But all the individuals who have expressed interest have all brought up the advertisement that we put up online in the National Association of Medical Examiners. So we have a picture of a beautiful palm trees, and then we have the number of autopsies that are performed every year. So it's paying off. I think it's a couple $100 that we're paying for that ad, and we hadn't done it in the past. So it looks as though that those types of recruiting efforts are working.
So you got them on the old palm trees thing.
Yeah, you come in, and this is pre-rhino beetle days,
Right.
so they're.
But I think one point that Dr. Taitado raised was, have they already started applying, right, for licensure? I didn't watch the whole thing. What was the end discussion on that?
So those are the types of issues that will have to come up in the interview process, during the interview process itself. I will say that the applicants that we received currently are working in offices, so there'll have to be some transition time. That will have to be done on a case-by-case basis, but anything that we can do, I know the governor and her staff have really supported our office's efforts to get this done. And when we've needed, as an example, for Dr. Brown to get licensed quickly, they work with us to get all the paperwork necessary to get it submitted kind of as a temporary, I don't know if it's a temporary admission, I'm used to that with the bar. So I know that we're going to get cooperation on all levels, and Dr. Taitano, it sounded like, so can also support our efforts to move it as quickly as we can, given the timeline to transition into that, whoever the candidate that we select may be.
Yeah. So what is the timeline? How soon can we look at actually having a CME on board?
That's going to depend on the interviews and kind of the answers that we get and the availability of the doctors or whoever we end up selecting. So I just, on our side, we're doing everything we can to push it forward. Again, our timeline is within the next 3 weeks. We will have completed our interviews, and we'll make a recommendation to the board at the next meeting.
AG, when we do finally bring on whoever survives the interview process, what's going to be some of the first things that they're going to have to tackle when they start?
Well, the COVID situation obviously is the big one, and I know that there have been a lot of study or reports on just the state of the morgue and dealing with the number of bodies that are there. So that will be one. Staffing is the other one that they're going to have to deal with. I will have to give a shout out to Johanna and the morgue attendant over there. She testified yesterday. They're working 7 days a week, sometimes 10 hours a day, to deal with the flow over there. So they're really doing a great job. Once we can get a forensic pathologist on board, and we're not having to rely as much on Dr. Abe from GMH, which is another partnership we've been able to set up to speed things along. As you guys recall, when I first came on, we had to work through a Saipan-based doctor who would fly out every 2 weeks. So right before we went into the public health emergency, we entered into an MOU with GMH to allow for their doctor to assist, and which has sped things up quite a bit. But again, my understanding is that just the number of deaths that we're having, unfortunately, has backed things up quite a bit. But on the other side, one of the reports that was given during the meeting yesterday, our office applied for a grant, about $250,000. So they've been slowly building out and modernizing a lot of the equipment and the facilities over there, including a new holding unit, which we look at procuring hopefully within the next few months. So we're doing our best to get it in a state that when the new chief medical examiner comes in, it'll be ready for them. Yeah.
Do you have an update to the Marbo Cave lawsuit? I know that there was some sort of a extension that was granted for KEPCO and Samsung to, I think,
yeah.
follow
So
response.
I'm trying to use the Carlina said it's Sasadzen. I was saying Sasadzen, and so I don't know if she was explaining Sasadzen means a swampy area, which is not good when it comes to
well, that's what it is now.
Not building ponding basins. That's the last thing that you want. So we did file our complaint. I believe their answer or response to our complaint is due next week, Tuesday, and we'll just see where it goes from there.
I wanted to ask, because we had Senator Frank Blas Jr. on a few days ago, and he was mentioning that he's written you a bunch of letters relative to the audit that the Office of the Public Auditor did regarding the procurement of the hotel quarantine facilities kind of early on. And just wondering if you had eyes on the letter, and what, if any, your response is to the senator, and just kind of the whole issue, because we had BJ on too, and he said that he felt like there were some items in here that your office could work with as far as prosecution. So just if you could kind of unpack that for us.
Sure. Yeah, Chris and Sabrina, I will say that it's under active review. And it's disingenuous for anyone to say that we're ignoring any letters. I mean, we've been in contact with Senator Blas, and the OPA, he issued his findings. But it's absolutely not true that we're ignoring anyone or not doing anything. Unfortunately, we're living in a time where we elevate sound bites over substance, and talk radio is not really one where you're going to go into nuance, right? So our commitment has been to see through the noise, to make a decision based on law and evidence, and to not base our decision based on casting or strongly worded letters or people coming onto the show and bad mouthing me. And I do want to just kind of step back and say the OPA, when it's like, okay, the OPA said something was wrong, therefore it's a crime. It's not that simple. And I just want to be very clear about that. Before the OPA issued its findings, the Supreme Court of Guam issued an opinion, and I can read the quote to you, basically saying the Organic Act vests the governor with ultimate authority over quarantine, which includes establishing quarantine facilities. And I know, Chrissy, you like to ask me, when do I ever disagree with the governor? This is one of those cases where we openly disagree with the governor, and we argue that Section 19605 was organic, and she won before the Supreme Court of Guam, and the Supreme Court of Guam struck down that statute, saying the legislature basically overreached, and that statute interfered with her ability to establish quarantine and to move forward with quarantine measures. So when you're going through your inventory of instances where I've disagreed with the governor, that's one, and that's one where she prevailed. So, we're not going to be bullied into rushing into judgment. The OPA and the legislature both have authority to take action, and neither of them are doing anything at this point other than sending letters. So we're looking what we can do within the bounds of the law. And, Chris, I just want to point out too, earlier this year, the auditor was on saying his job is to be the procurement police. And he went out and he debarred a vendor. And that was a very big thing. And he took shots at me in his decision. And it seemed to be selective when he's going to kind of put on his police procurement hat and when he's going to kind of kick the can down the road or pass the buck. So I enjoy working with the auditor. This is, again, another situation where we don't necessarily agree on something. And I'm sure I'll be back on the radio, talk with you guys about it, but we're going to do the right thing, and we're going to base our decision based on things that really should be properly done, which is, again, you look at the law and you look at what the facts are.
I'm sorry, is this Attorney General Levin Camacho?
Hello. Check 1, 2.
Good morning.
Where's the
second
AG?
cup of coffee? Well, guys, and I do want to say, I know it's been a while since I've been on, but we really are working hard here as an office, and we're focusing our resources on emerging issues. And I'll share with you, I was in DC earlier this week. We met with high-level Department of Justice officials, including the Attorney General, who's a very friendly man. And we're looking at trying to build national relationships and to build on resources to reduce violent crime, to move forward with body-worn cameras and to find resources to get to GPD so they can actually implement that and have the funding to store it. We're also looking at improving our use of force policy, and we'll be back on probably in the next month or so as we have more progress. In addition to our independent investigative team, which we rolled out recently, the next piece is going to be use of force training and getting people to come to Guam and actually train our officers and our investigators on what the latest techniques are. So we're going to put our money where our mouth is. And, along those lines and building these types of national alliances that affect people in Guam, we co-authored and co-led a brief in the Supreme Court of the United States with the DC office. And we always put out these press releases, but I will say this is probably the proudest moment I've had so far as an AG, just because the insular cases and the denial of benefits to the people of Guam based on where we live is something that has kind of gotten me into going to law school to begin with. So to lead an effort, to lead it, this is the first time our office has actually been led in something, not just reviewed and contributed to. We've been working with the DC office for months on this issue because, you look at Guam, not only for SSI, supplemental security income, we don't get those types of benefits here. You guys mentioned the Schaller case that's being led by Attorney Rodney Jacob here locally. I mean, it's such an important issue for our blind, for our elderly, and for our disabled who really are denied these benefits for no other reason than the fact they live here. So we pointed out, and not only that, but we have to front 25% of the programs versus SSI, which is 100% federally funded. So it was good to file that, but I think it was really nice to see 16 of our colleagues sign on to our brief, which included the New York Attorney General, and she came out very publicly and she shared it, and she's kind of elevating this discussion on how what a territorial issue is affects those who are living in the States and those who may not be able to move from New York to Puerto Rico because they lose, I think for them, they go from like $540 to $77 in benefits per month by making that move back home to be with family. So it's a very significant issue. I've talked to folks who deal with people with disabilities, and they are hoping the Supreme Court gets it right this time. That argument's set for November of this year. And the last thing, the Pasatiempo case, we were out and I happened to run into the Alaska Attorney General, and I said, hey, we have a case. We got an active warrant for someone who may be out in Alaska. And I'm not joking, within a few days, we coordinated with their office and he was arrested. And we're moving forward with that process. So it's just, we're working with these networks, but at the end of the day, we're trying to problem solve for the people of Guam and again, to work on issues that crime, benefits, and those are the types of issues that we're really putting our effort in. So not to say that procurement is something we're looking at, we are going to review it, but there's a lot that's going on. If I go on next week, I would come on every week and talk to you guys about
We can do it. We got the time, AG. Just say the word.
I know. I want to come on and make sure that I have enough to fill the 20 to 30 minutes that you guys slot for me. But I'm very proud of our office and the work that we've done. I just want to make sure it's clear that we really are laser focused, and even with 60 attorneys here at the office, that's not enough for the amount of issues that we're dealing with as an island, especially with the public health emergency.
We hear from law enforcement, different law enforcement agencies about turnover and the troubles they have in retaining officers. They're losing them to Camp Blas. They're losing them to the federal customs. There's just greener grass all over the place. Do you have that same issue with the attorneys in the AG's office?
We have a good core here, Chris. I think this might be the most number of attorneys that we've had. We could always use more in some of our divisions. Our prosecutors are constantly in trial, and anything that we can do to give them mental health breaks in between trials, obviously that's something we're looking at building out. But Chris, I think kind of going back, it's hard to connect this with body-worn cameras and use of force. But our police have really taken a beating lately, and it's you get the sense that our community is just angry all the time at our police officers, and they're the good guys. We're supposed to be the good guys here, and I can just imagine how frustrating it would be to wake up and to go out and to want to do your job the best that you can, and people don't believe you and they don't trust you. So what I'm excited to work with Chief Ignacio on this. Everything that we're doing is to continue to build more trust, and I think when it's a satisfying and rewarding job, you're more likely to stay on. You don't want police officers who are getting those jobs for the money. You want them, you are attracted to these positions because you want to serve, you want to protect your community, right? And it should be more important than the paycheck. But if you're not being appreciated by your community, it makes it tougher to go out and protect that same community. So we just have to look at other things that we can do to engage with our community and to kind of let them know that we are the good guys here, and we want to help, and we want to keep everyone safe.
But I also think, though, that you have, and the chief has said this on the air, that our police officers are willing to take a bullet, but they start off so low, where you have people like the poor police officers who make way more money than police officers. Is there anything that can be done to kind of have some parity or equity?
Yeah, I'll have to. I know that there's a bunch of bills floating around.
Yeah.
And I can't really comment on that because we work with all of them. But at the end of the day, just law enforcement as a whole. We're involved in investigations involving law enforcement. We've filed charges against of individuals. So I understand, but I think the most hurtful part really is just this idea that the police are on our side.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing that more and more, and that's what we just have to show our law enforcement that they are doing their best to stay within the confines of the law, to not abuse their positions, and we need to show them a lot of appreciation actually for the jobs they're doing.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to get back to Pasatiempo real quickly. Has he already been extradited back to Guam?
So there's a hearing set for next week,
Okay.
And I can just say that we're looking at options and we're moving forward, and we'll provide an update. It's probably within the next few weeks on the status.
Any update on the ORDOT case?
So we are awaiting an appointment of a new judge, and every circuit's kind of dealing with this. So we're kind of in a holding pattern at this point. But we have been in contact with the Department of Justice. They're the folks who are handling the ORDOT case, and we're just waiting to see when the next hearing is going to be set. But we plan on a few things moving forward, probably again within the next few weeks on our side.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the Justice Department, they are suing the Government of Guam Retirement Fund alleging violations, I believe, of USERRA and citing the government of Guam's leave sharing program. Is the AG's office representing the retirement fund?
I believe the retirement fund has their own attorney, but I want to say the Department of Administration has also been identified as a defendant. So we are involved in that case. And I'm not, what I can say is that we basically have a conflict. We have a statute that expressly says this, you don't apply a certain credit under these circumstances. So we're defending the statute at this point because we don't believe it's in a clear conflict with the federal statute. But that's the legislature made a decision not to allow certain types of leave sharing or to give benefit or credit under certain types of situations, and that's what the issue is before the court.
Anything else?
Did you update the use of force policy?
So Chris, with that, we're planning on having a meeting with them probably the third week of October. And we'll be circulating. We're working with GPD first before we circulate it with all law enforcement partners. The goal is going to be to have one single use of force policy. And from there, we may, I'm going to ask that we potentially do a kind of round table or open house, and we'll circulate the draft with the community to provide feedback as well.
Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to follow up on this body cam.
Yeah.
What is that about?
So the body worn cameras, I know that part of it, funding's always an issue no matter what, but it's been the storage, and we're looking at the federal government in particular offers grants to help local agencies stand up these programs and to get funding so that and across the country, when you're in these meetings, you realize everyone wants these. Police officers want them, the community wants them, because it kind of just resolves any questions. Okay, under the circumstances that I'm required to use a body cam, and so the Department of Justice just recently issued a memo that all of their task force agents and I believe federal law enforcement are required to use body cameras under certain circumstances. So we're just trying to do whatever we can as an office to move that forward and to see what other resources may be available for funding in particular, so that we can help the chief of police and Guam Police Department get that off the ground.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Viva Friday. Have a nice day.
Hey, right on. CAG. There you go. Feistier than usual. Attorney General Levin Camacho saying that he won't be bullied into taking action in response to Senator Frank Blas Jr.'s letters that he sent over to the AG relative to the procurement that was performed by the governor's former legal counsel and son-in-law. Felt like he took a couple of shots at our show too, but hey, miss a link, miss a lot, so don't miss it.
Also, just real quickly, we got something from GPD. Route 1, Polaris Point, north and southbound lanes are impassable at this time, so motorists are asked to seek alternative routes.
Right, and then also we're getting a lot of comments about power outages. Their power out. We got comments here, Jotnia, Maginlao, and then my son, who's about to jump on or is on the online learning, said that the power's out also in EPAN. So Patty Long Diego from GPA reminds customers for trouble calls and emergency service interruptions, GPA 24/7 dispatcher 475-1472. 1473, 1474 again, or 646-4211 to reach a waterworks emergency dispatcher. Again, GPA emergency dispatch 475-1472 through 4. Patty, also, did you get that graphic there? She sent a graphic about how power is restored after tropical storms and typhoons. If you wanted to get that up, we put it in the chat. And so when you guys call the emergency dispatch, they dispatch and mobilize the crews. So if there's a power outage in your area, call in so they can, they can know what's happening and then send someone to hopefully work on it. At 9:01, let's head into the Zoom room.
We are in Core 4, by the way.
Oh, we're in Core 4, guys.
Now we're in
right,
Core 4.
yeah. Isn't it kind of funny that it's like stormier now,
and the tropical
right?
storm warning canceled for Guam, Rota, Tinian, and Saipan.
Right, but just be safe. Guys, we're going to run into the Zoom room real quick with Dr. Annette David here. Dr. David, thanks for joining us, and good morning. I know you don't have much time, so we just kind of wanted to jump in on this webinar that you've got happening with Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. Countering the COVID-19 pandemic, everyone has a role. That's a pretty general title. So how do you narrow it down for people interested in jumping in on this webinar?
Well, hi, Chris, and hi, Sabrina. I hope you both are doing well, and thank you for inviting me on the show. We are really doing the webinar as part of our community outreach for the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, and really focusing on some of the key basic principles about COVID and why we have the strategies that we do have to help reduce transmission and reduce illness, and what exactly it is that each and every one of us can do. So we talk about the risks in particular settings, such as schools and institutions like the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, Inpatient Center, but also talk about community risk, because really this is a pandemic where we all have the ability to make a difference.
What do you mean we all have the ability to make a difference?
We all have the ability to protect ourselves and protect our community. And I think one of the things that we are so fortunate here in Guam is that the resources are available for testing, for vaccination, and for treatment. I was telling you, in the Philippines, not everyone has the same access to vaccines and testing that we do have. And those who sometimes want to get tested and treated have to pay for it out of pocket. So it can be a huge strain for the populations. And there are many countries in that situation. So, we have the resources here in Guam.
Right. Yeah, we are very fortunate in that aspect. Do you think that the community gets it, that when you talk about everyone has a role, right? And so, for example, like this surge, it is going to take the community to kind of beat it back, right? So do you think on Guam that we kind of grasp the role that we play in this pandemic, maybe more so than they do in, like, let's say, the States?
I think one of our strengths in Guam is that we are very community oriented. We have a lot of care and concern for family and for our neighbors and friends. And I think that in the end, that is what will make the difference really for this pandemic, because, pandemics, by the very name, they affect everyone, and no one is in a vacuum. No one can really handle this by themselves, right? So it's really important for all of us to pull together. And I do believe that we have what it takes here in Guam, the community strength to do that.
Well, Dr. David, we don't want to keep you too long because I know you got to run. We threw up the registration info in the comments, and good luck on Monday, okay? And hey, don't be a stranger. We had you on. I remember it was last year. You did a big presentation, and I know you're still one of the doctors who meets with the governor regularly. So we value your perspective, and we'd love to have you back on when you have more time.
Anytime, Chris, for you guys, anytime.
Thank
Thanks so much, and you both stay safe.
Thank you, Dr.
All right.
David. There you go. Hey, it's 9:06. We're going to take a break, and then we're coming back with Tomas Manglotnia. We're going to talk a little bit about his new show called Pacific Matters. And, we got an interesting clip, a really interesting clip, because we've been talking about locking down the island for a number of weeks. That has kind of been, honestly, the people in the community, when you judge from talking to people, looking at the comments, because people feel it worked so well last time, it's just obviously been a recurring topic that's come up during this 8-week surge that we're looking at. But when you talk to, we've talked to a lot of the doctors, they say that the lockdowns don't work. Well, Tomas Manglotnia talked with a high official in the World Health Organization who says that they do. And so we'll have more on that coming up right here on the link. It's 9:07. Good morning.
We know you're tired of hearing about COVID-19. Some of you are probably wondering whether this is ever going to end. However long it takes, we all have to do our part, including our children, to hold the line. You can protect yourself and your family by getting vaccinated.
And if you're already vaccinated, don't let your guard down, because you can still give and get COVID-19. And if you're not vaccinated, remember that if you catch the virus, you could suffer more severe complications. At the end of the day, it's the choices we make to protect ourselves, our families, and our community that will control the spread.
We know it sounds repetitive at this point, but again, wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear your mask.
Together, we have to hold the line.
This season, KUAM Communications is ready to go with more games, more championships, and more sports specials guaranteed to bring out the fan in you. Don't miss a minute of gameplay from NBC on KUAM TV8 or from CBS on KUAM TV11. We're bringing you all the action and excitement brought to you locally by Michelob Ultra, the superior light beer, Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, and Docomo Pacific.
Get yourself all caught up with the week's games, scores, and highlights with the KUAM Sports Weekend Roundup on KUAM News Weekend Edition. It's all inclusive, all the fun and all the action wrapped up in the perfect presentation. Relive the moments on the KUAM Sports Weekend Roundup, brought to you by Gatorade. Greatness starts with G. Uno Mixed. We're mixing it up on the last Thursday of every month with a look at lifestyle, entertainment, food, and so much more on the stations, networks, and digital platforms of KUAM Communications. Uno Mixed is presented to you by Docomo Pacific, Better Together, and Pepsi. The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC and the Medical City, where patients are partners.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Got a question about your finances? You've come to the right place. Bring all your accounts together, even those that aren't with us, and see the big picture, right down to the smallest detail. Unlock powerful tools like Insights and Money Map that help you save time and take control of your finances. When you connect accounts with the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time off each Friday to talk, taste, and tempt you with all the latest and greatest food and drinks on Guam. Old faves, new hits, and everything else we can put in our bellies. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link, brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Devondale.
The KUAM Podcast Network is back and on demand, featuring a great variety of podcasts from our island and region, including culture, lifestyle, awareness, crime, politics, commentary, comedy, and entertainment. Available on most streaming platforms. The KUAM Podcast Network. Subscribe and listen now.
Take in the panoramic beauty of our island each Sunday on the KUAM News Instagram with Scenic Sundays. Scroll through the natural beauty of the island on display. Scenic Sundays on the KUAM News Instagram is brought to you by Addis Trust and Investment, Location, Service, Trust, and Haagen-Dazs Shops Guam, where every day is made extraordinary.
See what's on TV tonight with schedules, network news and notes, local promotions and giveaways on KUAM Communications social media pages. Like and follow us on Facebook or Instagram now for all the latest and never miss out.
9:14. It's Friday. Good morning. Coming up, we have got Feed Me Fridays. Sneak peek of the One Micronesia podcast, all on the way. But we've also got a sneak peek of another. Well, we're also going to have a sneak peek of new content on our KUAM Podcast Network. Talks with Toss. It's going to be a great one coming up here on the show. But on the stations of KUAM, we're getting ready to unveil another great show. And Tomas Maglotnia here in studio. Pacific Matters, Tomas. This is some good stuff.
Yeah, good morning, Chris Bree, Jason Joser. Pacific Matters will be premiering on Monday, and we're going to be sharing. It's a new regional show that will be zooming out and focusing on issues that impact Guam, the Sinamai, Micronesia, and the larger Pacific. And for our first show, we have a great lineup of guests. We're going to do some in-depth original reporting, and then followed with some great Q&A that KUM does, and asking people from around the Pacific and really internationally what their thoughts are on issues that impact Guam, the Sinamai, and the region. So it's all connected to also what happens here at home.
Yeah, so when we talk about region, right, like how far out are we going?
Well, for our first show, we're going to hop on over to Suva, Fiji. We're going to be hopping over to Saipan, and we're gonna have someone in Australia. So it really, covers the region.
They call you the island hopper, boy. This is that boy from Rhoda who jumped around all the islands.
And we're gonna want to, of course, when things clear up, do more in-person interviews, whether that be in the NMI or here. And so for the first show, we're catching up. We're placing things in a context of. For the issues with COVID in Micronesia, we speak with the World Health Organization director who leads the logistics here in Micronesia. We have also the Sinamai firefighters who went to battle one of the largest wildfires in California's history. About 19 of them went. And then we also are throwing in some lifestyle and fun things, and have a host of a new cooking show that launched in Australia that's getting a lot of buzz, and we're going to take a little bit of a bite into that show. And so we have a clip here that we prepared, and Chris mentioned
Stanford
this.
has prepared you well for the pun game.
Chris has prepared me. But yeah, so take a look at this short clip, and this one is with the World Health Organization speaking about lockdowns, and especially how it relates to how we approach the pandemic here in the Pacific.
There you go.
The lockdowns and other sorts of restrictions, certainly the experience around the world with COVID is that where those are done well, and by well it means that they're well thought through, and also the community supports them, they are actually very effective, particularly in the earlier types of COVID that weren't quite as infectious. It's a bit harder for the very infectious Delta, but they still have a big effect. Then the question is, what is the country or the area or the island trying to achieve? So for a place that is trying to have no COVID, so trying to eliminate COVID, then those sorts of lockdowns can be really very important to try to get rid of COVID if it does come in. For other countries, other places where they are not trying to eliminate COVID, but what they are trying to do is manage how much effect the virus is having on the people, then maybe lower levels of restrictions or different measures might be a better fit. But what we do know from right around the world is that although vaccination is super important, and it's great that there's vaccines available, it's not the full solution. That even with countries that have got very high rates of vaccination, people still need to be taking precautions to protect their own health and the health of their family.
Wow. What was his name, Tomas?
So Dr. Mark Jacobs, he heads things in the Pacific region for the World Health Organization, and he he previously handled, and we talk about this in the interview, and there's a package that follows, a news package, a news story that follows each of these interviews. And he talks about leading the swine flu outbreak response in New Zealand in 2009. And and he's dealt with this at a really large level.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about things that happened in the Pacific region, that outbreak in particular was really horrible in 2009. And he helped contain that through a lockdown method. But we also talked about the differences in these different disease and outbreaks that people have to do. And then again, just gotta shout out our folks in the Sinamai and Saipan who tune in and also watch the link. Hello to you, and wanted to say can't wait to share the good stories that we hear about the firefighters who've actually been going to the States for more than a decade now. And it was funny because we found out about this story through a viral WhatsApp video of a news side report. And in that report, they said, these Sinamai firefighters are used to just handling banana trees.
Wow.
And the first thing in response, because, I said, wow, this is great coverage. And then the chief was like, well, we handle much more than that.
Yeah.
And so we cover that. We handle
banana trees, like,
we
that's the
know,
last
right?
thing
Living on
about it.
island, we know what, we know how dangerous fires can be.
No,
here.
we handle pugwa trees too.
And so I think, and then again, checking in Australia with our friend Miss Catalina, who runs a wonderful cooking show that's getting a lot of buzz across the region as well. We're going to be learning about a new dish that she had in her show, and it's going to be weekly, Monday. It's going to be premiering live on KUM's Facebook around 11 a.m. and then airing right after news in prime time. And so you can look forward to so much that's ahead. And I don't want to give too much away about the following episodes, but we have a great episode right after that, taking a deep dive into Rota becoming possibly the next national park, the 58th national park in our country.
Wow.
So
Dang.
we are
All of that?
All of that.
What have you guys been doing? Dude, can you just tell me the rest of what the guy from WHO said? Because that is so...
You have to watch.
Well, it was interesting because he said...
talking about what we're doing and being in this crazy surge, like every word that he said
he had
really...
a lot to say.
Yeah,
and I
had a lot
asked
of
him,
weight.
I asked him the hard question that you all here ask on the link. I asked him, how do we balance the economy and people having to deal with their lives? Live their lives outside of a lockdown situation, and we talk about it all, and he doesn't shy away from the answers. He's so busy. I was telling Sabrina earlier. They said you can only have 10 minutes with him because they emailed him 3 months ago, and so they responded. And so we're airing the entire 10 minutes of the interview, and it just gives some good perspective. And again, it's a regional show, but the issues really are rooted here in Guam and the Sinamai.
Yeah.
You do not want to miss this.
Yeah, this guy's a stud right here, guys.
We can't even see the premiere. I tried to get into it, and Tomas locked the folder. So.
Yeah,
no, that's not true.
I can't even hack it.
Oh, wow.
All
So
right.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tomas.
Thank you, Tomas.
Good job, man.
All right. Again, Pacific Matters debuts on Monday, 6:30 KUAM TV8, and on Facebook, you said 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not going to tell us?
I just did.
He's really into this
You're
interview.
just going to have to wait for it. Yeah. No, because it's such a valuable perspective, because we're only hearing from, our government. So to hear from the WHO, and this is like, this is the freaking WHO.
That's top of the food chain.
It's like above the CDC. So to hear what they have to say, it's really relevant. And it kind of reminds me of what Sabrina and I have been doing here in folding in what's happening in the NMI as far as their COVID response. And so we've done that routinely on the link here because, a lot of times with this pandemic and the way it's been here on island, it's like we're living in this bubble. So to kind of compare and contrast what's happening just 45 minutes to the north, because it's a totally different story in the CNMI.
And as we reported, the travel restrictions, the travel protocol has changed. And we'll have more on that on prime
That's
time
what I mean.
about getting tested, because the concern is there. And I remember when I first called into the show when I just got back around last year, and you asked me why, people were like, why do we have to asking questions? A lot of people asking questions about what's happening on the other islands, and I remember when this was just on radio at first. People were saying, because we can compare in terms of, people are always wondering in terms of size, in terms of government, in terms of laws, in terms of political status. What does this all mean? So hoping to just continue to add to that great conversation.
Right, yeah, because I'm getting friends from Saipan who are starting to, starting last week, they're messaging me, hey, what's going on with you guys? Like, why is it so bad there? What are you guys doing? What's your governor doing? What are you going to do? So, yeah, it's very important to compare and contrast. And I got to say, when it comes to the COVID, and you know how competitive we are with the CNMI here, they are whooping our ass, for real. And they're doing such a great job. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous that I'm almost about to block all of my CNMI friends on social media because I'm tired of seeing them, like acting like there's no pandemic because they got it under control. And you're right, and it's the way they move, right? So they move with these surges. If there's a threat, they do something to neutralize a threat, like reinstitute the quarantine, and that has us scratching our head here on Guam, like, why aren't we doing anything? Anyway, thanks.
Yeah, no, I've spoken to a lot of people who are in quarantine, who've gone through there.
Yeah.
Some have complaints, and others say this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
And so, you get a range of those perspectives of those who say it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make, and others who say I'm entitled to something else.
Right. There you go. Well, Tomas, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Right
Thank
on.
you. Good
job, man.
Definitely one of our shining stars, and so grateful to have him back on the team. It's 9:24. Oh, it's 9:24. Let's take a break, and then we'll come back and do Feed Me Fridays right here on the link. Good morning, Friday.
We know you're tired of hearing about COVID-19. Some of you are probably wondering whether this is ever going to end. However long it takes, we all have to do our part, including our children, to hold the line. You can protect yourself and your family by getting vaccinated.
And if you're already vaccinated, don't let your guard down because you can still give and get COVID-19. And if you're not vaccinated, remember that if you catch the virus, you could suffer more severe complications. At the end of the day, it's the choices we make to protect ourselves, our families, and our community that will control the spread.
We know it sounds repetitive at this point, but again, wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear your mask.
Together, we have to hold the line. KUAM Communications continues our perpetuation of our Chamorro culture, language, and heritage with features available to our listening and viewing audience, including streaming of Chamorro music 24 hours per day on Isla Digital Radio on KUAM.com and the KUAM News app. Chamorro News Update, weekdays on the link and the KUAM News YouTube channel. Conversations about life in our Chamorro language podcast, Cuentos Tapaco, with Kin Conception. Seasonal specials, shows, and other features highlighting the beauty of our language, culture, and history. It's a new era of our continued commitment to our Chamorro heritage. Isla, watch, listen, stream. Viva Isla!
The world of television is more exciting than ever. Don't miss a minute of special presentations from NBC on KUAM TV 8 or from CBS on KUAM TV 11. Every month, we'll bring you the fun and excitement of award shows and red carpet moments, special series presentations, and other great network programs. Brought to you locally by King's Restaurant, Ruby Tuesday Guam, Bud Light Seltzer, and Docomo Pacific, giving you more reasons to tune in and turn on. Fall in love with TV again with the best from KUAM Communications. KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time off each Friday to talk, taste, and tempt you with all the latest and greatest food and drinks on Guam. Old faves, new hits, and everything else we can put in our bellies. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link, brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Devondale.
The Culture Club returns to KUAM Digital and KUAM News Weekend Edition, highlighting Guam's young artists, activists, and crafters as they work to protect, preserve, and promote our Chamorro culture. Watch this weekly feature on the digital platforms of KUAM News Weekend Edition, brought to you by Hanum.
The KUAM Podcast Network is back and on demand, featuring a great variety of podcasts from our island and region, including culture, lifestyle, awareness, crime, politics, commentary, comedy, and entertainment. Available on most streaming platforms. The KUAM Podcast Network. Subscribe and listen now.
Uno Mixed. We're mixing it up on the last Thursday of every month with a look at lifestyle, entertainment, food, and so much more on the stations, networks, and digital platforms of KUAM Communications. Uno Mixed is presented to you by Docomo Pacific, Better Together, and Pepsi. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC and the Medical City, where patients are partners.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, where you get smart insights into your finances so you can make smart decisions with your money. With a daily personalized feed, you can compare your monthly income to spending. That's better. Discover where your money is actually going. You might be surprised. See what's essential and what isn't. The more you use the app, the smarter it gets. With insights from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Programming. You just heard about Tomas's new show, which is coming up on Monday. You guys want to make sure to check that out. You also want to check out the KUAM Podcast Network because we have a brand new show that we have added. We now have 10, and with the dubious distinction of being the double-digit number in our collection of podcasts, we have Tassi Ada, who is joining us right now, and she actually produces her own show called Talks with Toss. It's this wonderful interview series. She talks to people about physical therapy, her own work, talks to athletes, trainers, dietitians. And why am I even talking with it? Tassi is here right now. Tassi, I'm trying to give you like a very, very dignified intro and everything like that. But I've been watching your show, when setting it up on our podcast platform. And you've got some really, really good interviews. And as an athlete, I appreciate that because you guys actually cover a lot of topics that kind of fall by the wayside when it comes to recovery, to healing, to getting your body in tip-top shape, whether it's on the court, on the field, or what have you. So we're really happy to have you as part of the KUAM Podcast Network.
Thank you for having me on. I thought it was a good introduction, honestly. I think you did really well. Definitely hit the nail on the head with what I'm trying to do with the podcast series. So a number of interviews with people I've met along the way as an athlete, as a sports delegate, and now as a physical therapist. So really what I'm trying to do is put out information that I think not only people on Guam, but internationally would appreciate from a number of topics, whether it be wanting to be an athlete, wanting to be in a physical therapy or a healthcare type of profession, as well as just wanting to know other things so for example, my most recent podcast interview with Coach Gabriela Mueller, she is a coach for public speaking and communications. Things that I think, regardless of whether you're an athlete or you're a healthcare professional, you could definitely benefit from, and other ways to connect people, not only within the Pacific, but past that too. So.
And I've gone through some of your interviews already like that. First of all, you're a fantastic interviewer, and for those of us in the business, we really appreciate the way you have respect for your guests and the way you pull information out of them, and it's a real organic conversation. And I like the fact how you also talk about, again, topics that, like, I mean, when I was growing up playing sports, it was all about just, can you go, and are you physically gifted, and do you have the competitive spirit? But you actually talk like a lot about the psychology of being an athlete, and if you do get hurt or just the wear and tear you take on your body through the rigors of competition and everything like that, how you can both physically as well as mentally get back to performing at tip-top shape.
Oh yes, there's so much more to the experience of just being an athlete, and there's so many other people that are part of those big events that make that possible. So not just the athletes, but you have the coaches, you have the trainers, you have the medical staff, you have the sports administrators and the sports developers. So those who are doing the grassroots level, making sure that there's even a level of competition at the child age group and onwards. So really just highlighting just amazing people that contribute to this on so many levels that you wouldn't necessarily think of. You think of, oh, it's just the athletes, they show up, they compete, and somebody wins and somebody loses, and that's it. But there's really just a whole team behind that that makes it possible. And the psychology of being an athlete is so important to highlight, because it's not just you wake up, you train, you show up, you compete. There's so many other things, especially for athletes, particularly on Guam, that I can at least speak on behalf of, is that you have work, you have potentially kids, you have school. And so all these other things that play into who you are as an athlete. And really, athletes are not just people competing in a specific sport, but they're leaders in a sense that they set an example as far as being disciplined, being responsible, showing up for others, having that team orientation skill set. So really that's stuff that I want to put at the forefront for people to learn more about, because I mean, sports changed my life, and I'm sure it changed your life, and it continues to change other people's lives.
Well,
so
maybe get into that like a little bit. How exactly did sports change your life?
Well, so I mean, I've always competed in sports from a young age. So I did Korean martial arts early on, and then I did Hapkido, and then I did soccer. But it wasn't until I got introduced to rugby in high school that I really started to take sports, or the sport of rugby, very seriously. And so from that point on, I completely committed myself just to rugby. I started going into the weight room and actually working alongside the coaches more consistently than I ever had in the past. And when I tried out for the national team, that is when I believe things just really took off for me. So not only as an athlete, but realizing, man, there's other things that have to be addressed on a managerial standpoint, whether it be fundraising or organizing events, competitive events, and trying to get involved in that way. And I think at that point, that's when it was a time for me to take on other roles. And once I did that, that opened the doors up as far as being a sports delegate and representing Guam at not just competitive events, but forums, athlete forums, anywhere between interacting with other countries and other athletes and other sports administrators. So I think that really changed my life. I was forced into roles at a very young age, 18, 19 years old. And that's kind of what not only challenged me in a good way, but gave me that confidence to try other things, to even go for a PT school. I don't think physical therapy school. I don't think I would have done that had I not had that experience prior to.
All right, we're going to go ahead and play a little sniblet here from your latest episode, Toss. And so she's got a few episodes on her channel that we're going to go ahead and share, but this brand new one is, it's a great one. You interview...
She's saying Gabriella Miller.
Right, yeah, Coach Gabby. So we're going to go ahead and play this clip again. It's new content on the KUAM Podcast Network. Good morning.
They're available worldwide and even digitally. At the time, I needed to get certified in London. I wanted to work in English. Mm-hmm. So I've been working now 10 years as a coach for corporations. And then one day, the International Olympic Committee knocks on my door and says, we need you to go and do this amazing 3 days seminar in Miami, because the coach that was supposed to go has canceled. And this is just few days before the date. And I had the opportunity to decide whether or not I was going to jump in or not. I was so glad I did.
Yes, because then that led to a series of events. And if that hadn't happened, I don't know if I would have met you back in 2013 for that Women in Sports seminar. Completely changed everything for me when it comes to one-on-one interactions with individuals, how to be professional, how to articulate your message and get what you want across, and also publicly speak. I mean, I just remember, so similar to like Toastmasters, where we're all standing up there, we have to give a little bit of our spiel, and then one by one, we give our own little critiques of one another and how to better position your hands or how to work the room and how to use like 1, 2, 3, 4, the points you're trying to make. And I mean, see how much it still sticks with me, and I still use that in my everyday. And I just remember going into, when I was applying to physical therapy school, that interview was so important because it's your one chance for you to show them who you are and what matters to you and why you want to be a physical therapist.
All right, so that was a sneak peek of that's essentially episode 4 of Tassi's interview series. It's on the KOM Podcast Network already, you guys. So you can get it on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, Audible. It's all over the place. If Spotify, if there is a podcast platform, you're going to be able to see Talks with Tass there. She's also got a really thriving YouTube channel where she also directly replies to any comments you send her. So we're going to share Tassi's YouTube interview with Coach Gabby. We got that coming up later on this afternoon. But Tass, I also wanted to ask you, because we've been framing everything so far within the context of competitive athletics, and that's not, the only reason you do this work and everything. Because as a physical therapist, I'm sure you see like a lot of people who, aren't athletes, but they may have had maybe people that have had to recover from various types of injuries, maybe post-surgical. Mothers after they give birth and everything like that. So kind of talk about some of the other work that you do on a physical therapy standpoint.
Oh yeah, definitely. So one of the other things that I hope to focus on now that I'm licensed here in Guam and I can see patients, my focus is generally going to be pelvic health rehabilitation, or also known as women's health. And so that comes with a number of conditions as well as symptoms, but they're not just associated with females or women. They're also associated with males and men, but it's really more common in women. So for example, I'm not too sure how accurate this is, but I think it was a 2012 study that over 50% of women over the age of 20, they experience conditions or symptoms, I should say, of pelvic floor dysfunction. And so that's anything that has to do with the group of muscles that work to control your bowel and bladder. They contribute to supporting your organs as well as aiding in sexual function. Mm-hmm. So this is something that I want to focus on now that I'm here on Guam, because as you can imagine, I'm sure this is about the first time all of you are hearing about something like this, but many are not aware that these things can be addressed. And so having that here on Guam would be so great, I think, just as a woman, and then for other women that I know that I don't. So I think that is something that would be really great for our community.
All right, and it's 909-989-0436 is the number down to Custom Fitness if you're watching this and you'd like to book an appointment with Tass. Tass, thank you so much. We're really humbled and honored that we're getting your content on our KUAM Podcast Network, and we're looking forward to working together.
And welcome home.
Thank you so much.
Well, so just so people know, which Ada family are you, and which village are you from?
Oh, so actually it's Ada from Saipan.
Okay.
Oh, Tomas, probably gonna reach out to you.
We got our blueberry bread connect.
And then a girl on my mom's side from Maina.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay. So you got a tattoo maybe on one side that says 671 and 670 on the other one.
You know what? I will keep that in mind the next time I consider getting a tattoo.
Well, we know you've got both islands on your heart, so no.
Oh, yes.
All right. Sorry about my friend Tass.
great to have you on board. We're
Right
really
on.
happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
There you go.
Stay safe.
Talks with Toss. Premiering. Jay, when are we going to get that on?
Yeah, so if you guys go on any podcast platform right now, the audio version, and please subscribe to it because she's got 4 episodes. If you guys want to binge listen, really, really good episodes. Each one is about the length of, the typical Guam commute. So if you're picking the kids up from school, you're making a delivery, running errands, going to work and everything like that, you'll actually get really, really good information that you can use. And as I said, she is a fantastic interviewer. Very, very good entertainment.
Right on. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Toss. And we're gonna take a break and come back with Feed Me Fridays right here on the Link. Good morning.
Catch Sports
The
Link on the
KUAM Podcast Network is back and on demand, featuring a great variety of podcasts from our island and region, including culture, lifestyle, awareness, crime, politics, commentary, comedy, and entertainment. Available on most streaming platforms. The KUAM Podcast Network. Subscribe and listen now.
We know you're tired of hearing about COVID-19. Some of you are probably wondering whether this is ever going to end. However long it takes, we all have to do our part, including our children, to hold the line. You can protect yourself and your family by getting vaccinated.
And if you're already vaccinated, don't let your guard down because you can still give and get COVID-19. And if you're not vaccinated, remember that if you catch the virus, you could suffer more severe complications. At the end of the day, it's the choices we make to protect ourselves, our families, and our community that will control the spread.
We know it sounds repetitive at this point, but again, wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear your mask.
Together, we have to hold the line.
Get yourself all caught up with the week's games, scores, and highlights with the KUAM Sports Weekend Roundup on KUAM News Weekend Edition. It's all inclusive, all the fun and all the action wrapped up in the perfect presentation. Relive the moments on the KUAM Sports Weekend Roundup, brought to you by Gatorade. Greatness starts with G. Uno Mixed. We're mixing it up on the last Thursday of every month with a look at lifestyle, entertainment, food, and so much more on the stations, networks, and digital platforms of KUAM Communications. Uno Mixed is presented to you by Docomo Pacific, Better Together, and Pepsi. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC and the Medical City, where patients are partners.
See what's on TV tonight with schedules, network news and notes, local promotions and giveaways on KUAM Communications social media pages. Like and follow us on Facebook or Instagram now for all the latest and never miss out.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Got a question about your finances? You've come to the right place. Bring all your accounts together, even those that aren't with us, and see the big picture, right down to the smallest detail. Unlock powerful tools like Insights and Money Map that help you save time and take control of your finances. When you connect accounts with the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Rita just walking my way. Hey girl, just tell me your name. I promise you that I'm true. I ain't running no game. I'm just a local boy trying to live my life and get married with you on Guam and make you my wife. It's 87 degrees. It's the right type of living with a family. True love's what I'm giving. I've been wanting it. I've been waiting for someone like you. I wish it could be you, my darling angel. Oh yeah, my darling angel. I've been waiting for someone.
All right, and welcome to
Okay, so since we're talking about awesome programming we have on KUM, As soon as we're done.
We're about to do some breaking stuff. So let's, guys.
We need to pass along some information regarding the COVID-19 testing. We got information from Janela Carrera, the public health spokesperson, that testing is suspended today at Tidzin, the Southern Region Community Health Center in Alahan, and the Northern Region Community Health Center in Dededo. Again, this is due to the inclement weather, the residual effects of Tropical Storm Mendul. We are now in condition of readiness for the tropical storm warning has been lifted for Guam, but as we've heard from Landon Idolet, we're still going to be experiencing rain and showers. So there are several advisories that are still in effect. There's a high surf advisory, a high risk of rip currents, a small craft advisory is still in effect, and a flash flood warning. You heard earlier information that was provided to us from the police department, police spokesperson Paul Tapau. He was talking about the flooding along Marine Corps Drive in the Polaris Point area. The road now north and southbound lanes are impassable at this time. Motorists, they are advised to seek alternate routes. Flooding also identified along Route 15, north and southbound lanes between Spanish Street and all the way up to Anderson, as well as toward Hawaiian Rock. Again, I believe the video that you are looking at is of Route 1 Polaris Point. If you are anywhere near there, you're going to have to find another way because the north and southbound lanes are impassable at this time.
All right, and we did get check out those flooding videos there, guys.
Yeah, the community, please practice caution on the roads, driving below the speed limit and allowing enough brake time and distance between cars. Turn around, don't drown. Immediately move to higher ground if flash flooding occurs. That's not me, that's from the...
Are you serious? Is that a thing? Turn around, don't drown, head immediately to higher ground.
That's it, yes.
Okay, well, there you go. 9:49. You're good. We got it. We're gonna play Feed Me Fridays, guys, because it's Friday. We still gotta eat, and it's proudly brought to you by our friends at Ruby Tuesdays. Good morning.
It's Feed Me Fridays on the Link. It's Feed Me Fridays on the Link. Brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday, Guam, and Devondale.
Off it, everybody. Welcome to Feed Me Fridays. Once again, we're here at Ruby Tuesday, and we did a poll, of course, as we always do, and the winner was... Hickory Bourbon Salmon.
That's right. And the loser was the Smoky Mountain Chicken, which is not too shabby for a loser. I'll take an L with this.
Yep. So again, mine again is the Hickory Bourbon Salmon, and you get 2 sides with it. So I ordered the garlic green beans and of course spaghetti squash. If you saw one of the previous episodes, I just love spaghetti squash. So of course, I had to order it again.
And Bree, you can garlic up any of your sides, and so I asked Kev to garlic up some broccoli for me. So I got some garlic broccoli, and then I have me a fully loaded baked potato. And this Smoky Mountain Chicken, Bree, it looks amazing. It's 2 6-ounce grilled chicken breasts with barbecue sauce. There's about 20 pounds of bacon on top. Then they have Swiss cheese and another kind of cheese that I forgot, but it's cheesy and it looks absolutely delicious.
And we know you love bacon. I love bacon. Can't go wrong without bacon. So we're gonna go ahead and try this out.
Yours looks pretty good, Bree. You got a nice glaze on there.
Yeah, it's the bourbon barbecue glaze.
Nice.
This is really good. It's nice and sweet, and it's also very moist. Really good. Do you like your salmon moist? Or
yeah,
a little
definitely.
dry? No.
No, I like
all
it
the way
wet. Okay, this is good. With chicken breast, I normally don't care for chicken breast. I'm a dark meat kind of guy, but
It's juicy. It's smoky. You got that barbecue sauce on the top of it, which is really very complex. And then you got the bacon and the cheese.
You know, last time we were here, I ordered the spaghetti squash, but I didn't get it with the marinara sauce. So I'm gonna try now.
Yeah, so she's going full spaghetti. Wow, this is really good.
I can't believe I didn't order it with the spaghetti, the marinara sauce the first time.
Pretty tricky. It looks just like spaghetti.
Yeah.
Man, this garlic broccoli. You know what I love about Ruby Tuesday? Is they have like pretty much everything. You can come here, happy hour all day Tuesday, get you some wings if you want, a burger, or you can do something like this.
Or you can get the ribs.
They got the ribs, which are famous. Ribsy Tuesdays.
Also, Nenny Mondays, which is another feature that they have here.
What's
you
that,
could bring.
What's Nenny Mondays?
Nenny Mondays is when you come to Ruby Tuesdays and you order a meal, and your nenny, your child, 10 and under, can order off the kids' meal, and it'll only be $1.99.
Get out. No.
$1.99.
That's got to be a typo.
Nope. $1.99.
I'm telling you, the Smoky Mountain Chicken might have lost, but it's definitely a win. Use your words. What do you got going on over there?
Nothing. I'm obsessed with the spaghetti squash.
That's
And
how
of
good
course
the
the salmon.
sides are here. I want to get some more of this cheese.
I really like the glaze. And I usually, when I order salmon, it's just, you know, straight.
Boring, right? It's usually boring, but
I'm
with
a
this
boring
glaze-
person, but, you know. But this
What
really...
are you tasting like? Is it smoky?
Mm. No. No, it's not smoky.
Is it bourbony?
I don't think I've ever really tried bourbon.
You tried
But
just
if-
about
but
everything
if
else.
This is what bourbon tastes like.
You're gonna have
it's
some.
good.
Thank you guys for voting in our Instagram poll.
And really, come out and check out Ruby Tuesday. They also have their lunch menu. It's the greater
They did good for
GU.
GU at RT. I've got a super shareables from the Wing Trio, the shrimp and spinach quesadilla. Remember their best burger series? We've had both of these. They're great. The BCF, which is of course bacon, cheese, and French fries, right? It's good. It's great. The Excalibur burger, that's got that andouille sausage and that fried egg in there. Remember you had that?
Yes, I did. And don't forget they have the salad bar.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. That's probably what we should be eating.
But we're not.
Nope. But you can throw on a salad bar with any meal for just a little bit extra here at Ruby Tuesdays.
So please come on down to Ruby Tuesday. Check out their menu. Check out the hickory bourbon salmon.
Yep. Check out Happy Hour all day on Tuesdays.
And that's it for Chris and I.
Feed Me Fridays.
Bye.
Sorry, I'm a little distracted.
Because it's so good.
It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link, brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday, Guam, and Devondale.
Feed Fridays, Jason.
Yeah, so we wanted to show you guys this because this video is really, really compelling stuff. So here is video, and Bree, this was sent to us by our buddy Norm Analista, right, over at UOG, also the owner of Analista & Co.
Yep.
The clothing. But look at that. This is what, PD?
Is it Polaris?
Kind of looks like, but you see that what should normally be the right-hand traffic has had
Correct.
to go across the median and is driving on the left side of the street. So, I mean, by necessity, because the normal right side is completely flooded, like right near the jungle, so that's the entrance to like Family Beach and the landing and everything like that. Please be careful, everybody. They had to do that because they had to, obviously, but that also can be pretty dangerous. So.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to take a quick break and come back and close out the show next, right here on The Link. Good morning.
We know you're tired of hearing about COVID-19. Some of you are probably wondering whether this is ever going to end. However long it takes, we all have to do our part, including our children, to hold the line. You can protect yourself and your family by getting vaccinated.
And if you're already vaccinated, don't let your guard down because you can still give and get COVID-19. And if you're not vaccinated, remember that if you catch the virus, you could suffer more severe complications. At the end of the day, it's the choices we make to protect ourselves, our families, and our community that will control the spread.
We know it sounds repetitive at this point, but again, wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear your mask.
Together, we have to hold the line.
Listen, watch, and learn from the daily Tomorrow News updates from KUAM News. Catch them on The Link during the 8 o'clock hour, streaming online on Isla Radio, or on the KUAM News YouTube channel for your convenience. Tune in and stay informed, all while preserving our precious culture through the daily use of our native Chamorro language. Tomorrow News updates are brought to you by your familia at First Hawaiian Bank.
The world of television is more exciting than ever. Don't miss a minute of special presentations from NBC on KUAM TV 8 or from CBS on KUAM TV 11. Every month, we'll bring you the fun and excitement of award shows and red carpet moments, special series presentations, and other great network programs. Brought to you locally by King's Restaurant, Ruby Tuesday Guam, Bud Light Seltzer, and Docomo Pacific, giving you more reasons to tune in and turn on. Fall in love with TV again with the best from KUAM Communications.
The Link, here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
Hey, good morning, Friday. Gun Friday. Flooded Friday.
Route 1, Polaris Point, impassable. Route
Impossible.
15, back road.
Did you say impossible or impassable?
Impassable.
Impassable. It's also impossible.
COVID testing due to the inclement weather canceled.
Right on. We just had Mary Rhodes on talking about yesterday. Hey, it's rainy season. Why haven't we figured out how to test people when it rains? Well, get used to it, guys. That's your assignment for the weekend. Get used to this. Couple people dying, triple-digit cases. Just deal with it, guys. Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. Good job, Bree, this week.
Good job.
Joe, sir. Jason, as always, bang up with that KFC TikTok thing. Guys, my name's Chris. This has been another episode of The Link.
I'm Sabrina. Please be safe out there.
Yep. Okay, KUAM TV, it's been great. Hasta. Adios. Guess who's back? Back again. Chris is here. The show will end. Okay, we're going to end the show, Bree.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
You too.
All right, I will. Here you go, Tim Balahadia. It's Burger King's Cover Me. Go to Burger King Wednesday. Say, I love the Whopper. And you're going to get a free Whopper just like that. Please, Italian is Palaxio the Maxi, guys. It's Footgun and Flooded It Friday. Be safe and thank you again for all your support. My name's Chris.
I'm Sabrina.
Adios.
Bye.
This is for the mind in a meditation. Oh, for all the lives lost in the deep. destruction. Oh, this is for the mind in a meditation. The propaganda all around, feeling when I see it on the news and when I turn the television on. Come around and see them play, just like everything is a game. I up in this rage, come around. Said now it's time to make a change again. They said it starts with you, so start today. I say, come around and then I play. Let it drop just like the rain. Oh, this is for the mind in a meditation. Oh, for all the lives lost in the destruction. Oh, this is for the mind in a meditation. I see you laughing, see you smiling faces. I stay coming in a million oasis. And I say one more time, I'm feeling so fine. I say that hit touch the sky, cause I'm feeling so high. I see you laughing, I see you smiling faces. I stay coming in a million oasis. And I say one more time, I'm feeling so fine. I see that hit touch the sky, cause I'm feeling so high now. Yeah. I see it on the news and when I turn the television on. Come around, I see them play, just like everything is a game. I up in this rage, come around. Say now it's time to make a change. And they say it starts with you, so start today. I say, come around and then I play. Let it drop just like the rain. Oh, this is for the mind in a meditation. For all the lives lost in the destruction. Oh, this is for the mind in a meditation.